down. Roy's countering. Percocet gets the knock.
Oh, another one.
Quick counter.
The trade. Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that. J7 coming in for the support.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally back. I know it's been a long time. By that, I mean, of course, not a long time. It's been about 24 hours. We're ready for our second day of European PMCO for the full split. Yesterday was absolutely insane, but today I'm hoping it's going to be as good and also will deliver some epic action going our way. My name is Maxman, joined once again with the amazing Imperium to bring you the action you all know and love. How's it going, Imperium?
Pretty good. Not gonna lie, I'm a bit tired, but I think coming into this first game, I'm gonna start feeling the excitement. I know what these teams are fighting for. You know what these teams are fighting for. They've seen already what groups A and B can do, and let's see what they can do in these 4 games from Group C and D.
Yeah, talking about groups, we're going to be checking them out once again in case you are new. Maybe you didn't watch yesterday. If you didn't, what the hell were you doing? You know, yesterday was absolutely mental. You did not want to miss it whatsoever. But yesterday we had Group A versus Group B. We're going to go over the standings after that in a few seconds. We'll do a quick recap of what happened yesterday. The VOD is still available too if you guys want to really check out the pure action, which I would personally recommend because yesterday the games were pretty fun. Though, do not check out the start of that Miramar game. It was a bit weird. We will forget about that Miramar game.
What Miramar game? Don't know
what Miramar. What Miramar? What is a Miramar? What is that?
It's a mirage. That's what it is. There you go.
There you go. But yeah, so we had Group A versus Group B happening yesterday, and of course that means by just a nice expression, it's going to be Group C going up against Group D. And in these 2 groups, Imperium, we got some big boy teams, and one team that we can be specifically looking out for is going to be Godsend. We also got Lack on Nostra Power. Those are 2 teams that are big stonkers and big weights into this European region.
I think Group C and D is going to be kind of clash of the Titans overall. There's a lot of big names when you include Scrim Farm as well. Before we talk too heavily about Groups C and D, I definitely want to go over a few things of what we saw yesterday. The standout was definitely GSG Europe. We both admitted we didn't really know too much about them coming in to the PMCO. But they certainly made their mark after a bad game 1 in the last 3 games, scoring 84 points. That was such a climb back, and they're currently 35 points ahead of second place.
Yeah, like they are looking so damn strong with 85 total right there. 2 chicken dinners going their way, and also they picked up second position in what GSG Europe. I think that really there's so much things we could say, but at the end, the score alone is able to express what the hell happened yesterday. And this is the main reason why I said you want to really check those VODs, because GSG Europe, their team that we didn't see happening in scrims, right? That was our big focal point yesterday. GSG Europe, we just really don't know them all that much. And they're the big newcomers going into this event, into the full split, and the underdogs. And you know what? Not the underdogs anymore. They're top dog right now, standing in #1 position, looking really good. But right behind them, a few teams will try and potentially take that position away over the course of the next 5 days for the group stage. That's the Noisy Boys. Time to shine. Inside Games slowly lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, Inside Games won game 1. As far as I know, if my memory serves me correct, Inside Games.
Yeah, Inside Games, yeah, won.
Yeah, they won game 1, and then they did fall off for the last 3 games. Time to shine, fantastic in Erangel, the 2 games where they performed strongly, but then Sanhok and Miramar, I was talking to Daddy last night from that team, and he did say that they did mess up, but they are aware that they do need to practice more heavily in the maps outside of Erangel. So once they're aware of it, they're going to be able to build on. And then the Noisy Boys getting that chicken dinner, but maybe not as dangerous as I slightly predicted for them in the start of the PMCO. Long way to go though.
Long way to go indeed. Of course, you know, teams down below, they did struggle quite a bit. You got the Sirens, got vFOR, Red Reserve, TSC Legends. Really not the first performance you're looking for. But at the end of the day, what we want to be is in the top, 3 groups. Once you're in those top 3 groups, you're going to make it over to the semi-finals. Then you've got to make it in the top 16 to make it over to the finals. At the end, you know, you're going to be taking a few teams down below. So at least if you can hit like a minimum point average, you should be okay. But at the end, the first day where you have results lower than any other teams in the lobby can sometimes put your morale a little bit lower.
Yeah, but it's just about picking yourself up, dusting it off, forgetting about what happened in the previous day, and just, you know, building yourself up for the next set of 4 games. Of course, the the likes of Sirens, vFOR, Red Reserve, even teams that are even at the 10th place mark, like Bloodline, BeMyLOOT, they are going to be looking at today's games and hoping that, with all due respect, the teams that perform badly perform a lot worse. They won't necessarily mind if it's very top heavy in the top of the standings, because it's teams that would, give or take, maybe already be ahead of them after 4 games. So they want to know that they have that level of cushion and point advantage from the teams below them, and teams having a bad day in today's games will help the likes of BeMyLOOT and Bloodline.
But that's a quick recap of what happened yesterday overall. So quick recap, like in a few words right there. Just Europe, OP team, looking really strong on the first day. With that said, if you did indeed, enjoy what happened yesterday, like, wow, I actually like watching some PUBG Mobile esports action. This is pretty cool. Even if that French boy and an Irish man are a little bit weird, we're enjoying the show overall. Well, you know what? Already, thank you very much. And already, what the hell? But at the end of the day, if you do want to support PUBG Mobile esports even more, one easy way to do so is to head on over to esportsawards.com/vote and chuck in a little extra vote to help the nominated game, that is PUBG Mobile, be the esports mobile game of the year of 2020. That will be a huge achievement, and I think is definitely deserving of that title, as there's been so many great events. We had like PMWL, East and West ended just now a month ago, I would say, and it's been absolutely insane. And 2020 is a strong year for PUBG Mobile, and definitely, once again, go over to that link and you'll be able to support the game known as PUBG Mobile that we all know and love.
Exactly. You got to get behind the game right now more than ever overall, to be perfectly honest. But coming into today's games, Group C and Group D, you talked about Godsend. They are definitely coming into the PMCO. When you look at, on paper, the set of 4 players that they have, or the roster as a whole, it's a behemoth of aggression and frag power and just balls to the wall play. But of course, when it comes to practical in-game setting, do they have that synergy built up? I think they've shown it at times, but I'm going to be a bit reserved for Godsend and wait until I see them on the battlefield.
I didn't say you're red reserved. Okay. No, yeah, Godsend, of course, just a big clump of OGs. You got yourself Marley, Reeves, Raucus, and Navi playing for today in their games, and definitely, like, especially one player specifically is Marley. That this guy has been doing just so damn much for his team. Of course, Reeves, though, your Irish legend, bro, Imperium, is also having his influence. The Irish God. You would go that far? I thought you were the Irish God. Oh, damn it.
No, I'm the Irish goddess.
I will not question that. You know what? That's fair. That's okay.
But also, other teams to look out for is MVP. MVP, a team who I think they stepped to the mark quite heavily. They have a very viable roster. They've built themselves up. They've really kind of evolved themselves, especially over the scrims. I've seen a huge improvement. And, when they don't have the circle, I feel like they struggle a bit more compared to when they do have the circle. But I've noticed that their ability to rotate and position themselves for the late game has improved quite heavily.
For sure, I think they're the team that we want to keep our eyes out for, because they have been doing pretty damn good. Reposition is maybe where they struggle the most, but I think that if they can definitely overstep that little issue, I think they'll be completely okay in the overall standings to qualify minimum for the semi-finals. I think it'll be fine. Another team I want to take our attention to is Team Push. I mean, one player specifically is Bobby. You know what? I think this guy's been absolutely insane for the past few weeks of scrims. But the entire Team Push team is a team that I think has got some of the best energy going into the European region, especially when they have to breach compounds or they have to play aggressively. So Team Push, if there's a situation in which you think, they might not make it out alive, well, think again. Team Push, they know how to take those aggressive fights, and they are looking extremely strong. But what is also looking really strong is our lobby that is now almost kicking off. We got 100 seconds on the clock for game 1 of day 2 is going to be underway, and it's going to be Erangel once again.
And let's feature some of the somewhat underdog teams, right? You've got Clay GLA, Carabao Courses, Gaijin, 3 teams in particular, which I think they've all shown individual moments of sparkle and shine and greatness in the scrim leading up to this, but we maybe have not seen their either full potential or just their ability to be overall consistent with these games. And that's something that I hope they recognize and they will prepare a little bit more heavily for. Plus, at the end of the day, they're representing fantastic communities with Carabao Courses and Clay GLA in Azerbaijan. fantastic, well supported, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Before we do dive into the game, here is, of course, the schedule for today. As I just said a few seconds ago, Erangel will be the one to initiate the hostilities for today on day 2. Then followed up with Sanhok and Miramar. And to close it up, as always, it's going to be good old fancy Erangel once again. That is the map that we need to be the most consistent on. And because a lot of teams are doing pretty good, especially Godsent, right? We talked about them. Godsent, our team, are really good on them Erangel rotations, on those team plays, on those fights. So having a lot of those maps actually be playing on Erangel is going to be just a godsend. Over to Godsent. Yeah.
I'll give that's your one. That's your one.
That's my one. That's my only one I'm allowed to.
Yeah, it's the only one you're allowed to use. But it's okay. It's okay. A team that is playing today that we've seen little to nothing of in the scrims, but they did play in the spring split. I believe it's overall a much different roster. Is Magic.
Yes.
Right. Group C team. Let's see what they can do.
Let's see. I mean, definitely, I'm really happy. I think they're a team that I enjoyed watching quite a bit after the roster, as you just said. Like, there's a lot of changes. The only thing that really hasn't changed is the logo and the name. Other than that, really, it's a completely different team. So we're going to call them Magic 2.0 almost as we go into this new era. But here it is. Plane is in the air, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going from the Georgeport area all down to between Milta and Novo. And this is going to be a pretty good playing path. Having all the teams getting their location under control. Nothing really to say right here. It's going to be interesting.
It is, especially because it hits the southeast area of the mainland, and I know there's a good few teams that like to land around there. Godsend, Gun, like to land around there. You've also got Lakanostra are going to have easy access to Rosshawk, and you know you're going to also have a few teams down in the southwest. MVP, you know. Rescue going to be heading down there, so there's definitely this overall great mix of areas where teams can hit on this playing trajectory.
Universe, they got Northern George Pole for themselves. That's pretty good. Normally there was a few teams like Red Reserve that like to contest that location away, but the fact of Red Reserve, they're not in this lobby today as they're in Group A. They're not going to be taking that fight whatsoever, so that's really nice to see for Universe. Gold Touch going to be scouting a little bit more over to the eastern edge, but I'm completely fine with that. Maybe try and check some northern rotations. But in this lobby, no teams dropping up north whatsoever. And if you know that, if you did your research, that could be something you can try and use and abuse for your team.
Not based off this phase 1 circle. It's very central. Most likely going to be in the mainland because you still got a little bit of military island in play. But I have to say, it really nicely complements the playing path. You do see that heavy chunk of area between school and kind of where Magic are for Romanian men, all untouched. So Pachinki Hill, you've got even Potato Hill, even though that has its own risks of trying to hold on to it. And then you've even got the high ground to the southwest of Pachinki, all quite viable for phase 1.
Team pushing a compound next to Nox on the southern side of the eastern bridge. Team push, they're trying to make it out. Shot taken over by Oxen. Gonna connect on to push. Unfortunately, the M16 not going to be able to be a big threat over to team push players. Nox going to try and keep the spray down. CLW shall rotate a little bit late. But team push, they just don't want to take that fight versus Nox in the early stage. Oh, wait, CLW. But low. One more bullet.
Should be okay.
He seems fine. Okay, you know what? He picked enough speed. That's okay.
At the end of the day, you know, Nox have done what they overall intend to do. Push the team back. Push the team back, create more space. It's going to be easier for them to rotate into the mainland. They will have to be careful, Nox, and all teams on the military island trying to move in across to the mainland. The only thing that they have slightly in their advantage is that they can wait for phase 2 to pop up. And by that time, there's going to be a lot more space because most teams will head more for that central location inside that phase 1.
I do like it. I'm surprised if you remember in the scrims Imperium when CLW did like a 1v4 clutch in that compound. It was a shotgun. With a shotgun. You don't see that every day. It was absolutely insane. So CLW, definitely a player you want to be very, very careful about going into these games because the entire team push team, like I talked about Bobby, but I didn't even mention CLW because he deserves as much recognition as Bobby. Like those two players are absolutely mental.
Team push overall, they did struggle in the spring split quite a bit, and I'm not saying they aren't going to struggle here, but I see a lot more strength in the way they play as a team compared to the spring split, and even that firepower with CLW on their side. We haven't talked about Gun, Max, and I think if you're going to talk about Gun, you cannot not talk about Daniel. In my eyes, nothing against Herb Mamula and Outro, but he is the man of the hour for that side. So many times, similar to CLW, he's clutched up for his team, being the last man standing, getting the strong results in the scrims.
Yeah, like there were some teams also fighting to get Zanny on their squad because he's a very sought after kind of player. We did see him on like other squads eventually from time to time because they were just trialing him. And you know what? I like the fact he was Gun. Definitely a player that he's just such a huge solo man advantage for your team. So if you have anyone on the side, you know what, and you want to go for a compound breach, chances are Zaniel's going to be the one clearing the entire building.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that Gun need to overall improve on is that synergy, because I think that's one thing that falters them because Zaniel tends to be on his own coming into late game. So if they can build that synergy out, because you remember Mamula, right? It's such a dangerous player. You put him with Zaniel, again, on paper, it looks so strong. But that lack of synergy could be the thing that's kind of stopping him from getting to the next level in these games.
You're trying to get like an all-star kind of team at this point. You're just trying to get all the most aggressive teams. You just get now Victor of Red Reserve and then you have like 3 super aggressive European players.
Sure.
And who else would you add on that comp, actually? They would have like...
Reeves.
Who?
Reeves.
Oh, yeah, Reeves. You know what? Actually, that's fair. That's a good pickup. Yeah, add Reeves. And there you go. You got yourself one of the most aggressive lineups in all of PUBG Mobile Europe. And then you go in like, you know, the global championship and they destroy everyone, like Chinese teams from India. You don't care. They're going to destroy everyone.
Yep, of course. Clearly, you've the prophecy that is Maxon has spoken. It's going to happen sooner or later. But look at the way the teams have rotated, right? 4 Romanian men, Pachinki Hill, they've held this position before. The only thing is that if you don't hold on to it in the right way, or even kind of as a full squad or a 3-man team, it can get a bit risky. The good thing is that going there early will give them a proper chance of maybe disengaging away, or at least getting information so they can prepare better for the next phase. And then picking up the extra vehicle is always a clever thing to do when you're on the hillside in an open area.
Yeah, Pachinki Hill is just like, with this kind of circle, is so central. The information going your way is going to be absolutely bonkers. So I think the 4 Romanian men definitely have the good intention, and they're a team that I've been talking about time and time again that are really good at also scouting out that information. But another team that also plays very similarly is Scrim Farm, right? They like to play those high ground positions, scout that information, and make something out of that intel. So I think the Scrim Farm and 4 Romanian men are probably the 2 teams that scout the best in the European region so far.
They do, but that can also falter Scrim Farm more than 4 Romanian men, I feel, at times. And mainly because Scrim Farm, when they get it right as a full squad, they get it right. But one thing I felt they've lacked is not only will they lose 1 member early on, they'll lose kind of 2, maybe even 3. And it's just that kind of, when they are left as a full squad in late game, they can really punish nearly every single team in every single situation. So I want to see more of that from them in these PMCO games. We know they have a strong roster: Peko, Jaja, Lunu, Jody. Of course, Lunu, female player, stepping up to the plate, representing the female gamers out there. Try not to mention too much, but absolute credit to herself.
Yeah, she called us cuties on Instagram. Like,
oh, she did.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. There you go. Hey, no, it's funny when we're on the other side of the sim.
I worry for her then.
Oh, that's fine.
I know.
But Rescue, they're going to be moving away from that compound, and maybe a little bit too soon. Didn't scout too much, and that's going to be Coyote going down early. Tick, you just got to leave him go down. He's going to be eliminated instantly. Tick, in a lot of trouble. He shall go down too, and this is a prime example of why you want to scout compounds, because if you get too close, you're going to get absolutely battered.
It's honestly common sense as well, Rescue. When there's no need to move so late into the blue zone of phase 1, why not just stop and wait for phase 2 to pop up? Because in theory, phase 2 could shift in a completely opposite direction where you don't even want to rotate near, in this case, the real deal. And 2, common sense will tell you there's most likely going to be a team there already. So just have a bit more patience, wait for the right timing to come on through. But talking about timing, team push, timing, a push onto Nox.
They're just trying to get a little bit close. CLW, Bobby, and Mario will be over to the bridge. They got 1 player down south. It's going to be Andy for the phase 1 It's going to be closing up very soon. We'll be shifting over to our second play zone. Where will it go? The northern side, we talked about it, right? It is not really heavily into play, but Hardshift could try and put that back into consideration. But down in the center, a lot of teams going around Pochinki, especially up north of Pochinki, but the circle going heavily over to the western edge. And a lot of Gatka and Ruins Fields is currently open for the taking. The west is completely unoccupied almost.
Even going over to Everest to get a bit of scouting for a couple of minutes and then getting into one of those compounds to the southwest of Ruins will be really valuable, because those compounds on the southwest of Ruins and the one overlooking Headshot Valley, you're kind of protected. Well, not that you're protected, but you don't see much of the west side. But in this kind of circle shift, you don't really need to see much of the west side, because the main focus is to the east, because that's where all the teams have set themselves up. Of course, navigating to that position, if you have an idea of where teams are around you, can still be a little bit tricky. So it's not going to be easy for a lot of these teams that, are already in the circle.
We saw Push completely cross over the bridge. I've known Team Push and what they used to do in the scrims. I thought they were going to try and set up a gatekeeping position. Seems like that's not the case. That's Mamula. Oh my god, a little bit cornered up by some players of Godsend. Godsend, a team we've been saying that they are going to be very scary going into PMCO for this full split. And it is indeed going to be the case as they initiate the fight onto Zaniel. Initial knockdown. Mamula's going to be right behind, but Godsend, they got the high ground position. They're a little bit more spread. Gun struggling really to hold on to it as Zaniel and Mamula now also getting knocked down. They might just lose two players very early on. Gun, in my opinion, this is not a fight worth taking. Leave the scene, remain as a two-man army, leave Godsend, take the win on this one.
And here's the thing. Godsend knew exactly what Gun were doing and where they were. Why? Because they heard the sound of vehicles. They knew that they could be a bit more aggressive onto both Zaniel and Mamula. The fact that they executed those kills and knocks with grenades and guns was a great balance, but at the end of the day, because the other two members of Gun were in vehicles, it was so much easier for Godsend to play around that. Still, nice start for the Godsend boys. 2 kills on the board in the early parts of this game.
Looking very nice. Clay GLA, a team that we haven't really talked about as of yet. You got your entire team, Tanik, Yunka, Sensei Scott, and Raxman. This team is extremely powerful. I think where they do struggle the most is sometimes in mid-rotations when they get caught out and like they're not really expecting a fight. But otherwise, their team has got some really strong synergistic plays. And going into this one, I think they can definitely be one of your favorite guys in chat, like a team that has a lot of potential going into this one. But I think also on the curve, they're slowly improving over time because they're a team that we haven't seen too much of in the past. And now they're just trying to improve themselves and show what they can do in this full split.
Like, at the end of the day, a little bit like yesterday, I'm expecting at least this first game to be quite passive and for teams to be relatively cautious. Because as much as they might have scrimmed against each other quite regularly in lead up, we all know that rotations on PMCO and position on PMCO will always be different compared to scrims, because there's a lot more seriously taken. You're going to be a bit more cautious, etc. So these teams are going to bide their time. Headshot Valley is really completely unoccupied. They're all around the edge of it, and that kind of makes sense in the early parts of this game.
I mean, no, Headshot Valley deserves its name because if you're in there, you're going to get headshot. And that's why you don't want to really hold on to that position. Gauging a little bit surrounded. You guys there for a menu mon, got scrim farms. Even the real deal that's not too far off over to the northeastern edge. So they've got to be careful of their surroundings. Godsend, they're going to be pushing on through. The circle goes back towards Rins and Gatka Fields, on the east of Gatka Fields to be specific. A lot of room currently completely unoccupied, but you got compound up west of Headshot Valley. That one could be a really good position to take for.
It is, but the risk about that is that you are kind of banking on the circle in the next phase going back up in the northeast. The reason why is because, like I said before, you get little to no information behind you when you're in that compound. So if the circle on the next phase goes over to the southwest, you are really going to have to tread with caution from that compound. It's still going to be a strong place.
Gauging, holding to the northern edge of Pochinki. A few teams going to be coming on by. That's going to be the real deal, specifically Hackshot Spray. They're going to be first. The rest of the team is following by, not too far behind. But say for a mini men, also they got the nice Chapel era, so they can take some really interesting sprays. The real deal with a 2-man car rotation. The spray of Meow with the AK connects a little bit, but unfortunately not initiating the first knockdown onto the real deal. It's just going to be continuing on by, looking for future position and future endeavors to aim for.
It's an interesting one what the real deal did. If you kind of noticed that, they were shooting from the car while moving. What that does is a little bit similar to somebody shooting from a compound. It make somebody automatically back off a little bit or more cautious about peeking from that window, because you'll hear the shots before you kind of see them, and when you hear the shots, you slightly expect them to be a lot closer to you. So that was a nice rotation, and the way they pulled it off from the real deal.
Yeah, when the bullets are a little bit too close to you, that you have that very peculiar sound that puts a lot of pressure for yourself. You're like, okay, those bullets are very close. I don't know where you're getting shot from. Maybe it's from the car, maybe another location. Let's just play it very safe, really. And that's some things that, like, suppressing fire from a car can definitely sometimes save your life.
Guys are still holding on by the outskirts of Pachinki, which I think is great. They had to go there because the compounds they were in were already taken down as Lack Power looking to take down BFF. One player left.
Yeah, BFF down to 1. He's going to go for Athis. Got himself the Uzi, a few bullets coming on through, but unfortunately, Alicia not able to do too... Wait, what? Did he just...
Yeah.
He just faced right through it. You know what? Alicia, that's fine. Best friends forever. Taken out in 16th position as Alicia clutched it up for his team, but he's still remaining as a one-man army. A little bit scary for the fights to come.
Dead friends forever they are right now, as you go out in 16th place. Alicia, he's always been the kind of player that's been a little bit balls to the wall, no fear, just fight, and it's kind of paid off for him for now. Team Push gets a nice kill right there to kick off their entryway. This next phase is about to roll up on us.
Yeah, coming up very soon. Phase numero 4 is going to be coming on through. Magic rotating a little bit late. They're going to go for Ruins. If the circle goes a little bit center or down south, Ruins rotation could be a little bit hard, but you know what? It works out just fine. The circle is going to recenter back up towards Ruins and also towards Sunken City. Now Clay GLA Rescue a little bit close to each other, but all of the teams almost are down south. We're going to have so much mayhem happening during these mid-game rotations.
That's where it's going to be a lot harder for Scrim Farm. Even though they're in Headshot Valley and they're nicely inside the circle, they are a little bit, you know, at risk from teams behind them that are just going to push in from outside the circle. The team that's probably in the absolute best position is a real deal. Remember what I talked about with that compound? If the circle went up towards the northeast, it was going to be good for it. It has paid off indeed for them.
Yeah, Karabakh Horses, they have to move away from Team Push. You know what? It was a little bit of a scary position playing in the fields of Gatka, but MVP Gaming also not in a really interesting position. They're on the slope. Neymar getting absolutely naded up by Universe composition. Danny's going to get also taken down early. Neymar trying to reposition. One more bullet will come on through from Error. Oh no, he's going to be finally knocked down by Broly with the DP28. Now Universe really having full control on this fight. MVP Gaming, they just once again leaving Danny and Neymar for dead, really. They just can't make much out of the situation, but Broly getting knocked away by Moon of Rescue. Rescue going for a long distance third party here.
Yeah, a bit of a cheeky third party. Might give a bit more space to MVP. Last player actually 2 players standing for MVP, Tika and Akashi. The Universe will get that revive off after a couple of smokes being fired up, and they'll be able to divert their attention to the teams around them because they have to make their way into the circle, Max.
Yeah, this circle is not really great for Universe position, so they're just going to have to reposition themselves. The thing is, right, they haven't put any resources into scouted beforehand, so now there's going to be a scouting on the go, looking for a compound that might be free so far. The chapel's open, also a few arrows into Ruins itself is open for the taking. They could aim for it, which I think is what they're doing, is the safest option right now, but Tika just waiting there.
It's
and
simple.
They just, I mean, yeah, no, simple, yet effective. You know what? Invisible.
It's of course it's quite risky, but it worked out for and credit where it's due. And I'm still happy with the way Universe have pushed in. It's kind of like they're going for it. They want to gain control of the Ruins area. They're still not inside the circle. The blue zone of phase 4 is closing in, but they do know where Karabakh Horses are on that church side.
Yeah, the church, the chapel, both names work just fine, but seemed like Neymar is finally going to be beating it out, so MVP Gaming really taking the hurt in this one. University, they're keeping Gold Touch on the upper high ground position. They got Tika still behind, and they still have no information about Gold Touch going to be going back towards Broly. Just to make sure, you just scan a little bit of information up top, but that's okay. But good now, they hear the cars, they hear the footsteps, they're like, we don't want to be too involved, we're going to go a little bit deeper into Ruins itself.
Yeah, and they're banking on it, staying around there, right? You're setting yourself up for high risk, high reward. But it makes sense because Gunnar down to 2 players, and when you're out in the open as 2-man team, very little cover in the form of cars. You just got to take that risk. And we did see, as far as you know, Team Push getting eliminated by between Godsend and the Real Deal. So that push into the circle didn't pay off. And Universe, again, the way they pushed in, shooting on towards Carabao horses, going past them, getting information. It's really intelligent play from them, and they are still a full squad.
Yeah, it was scouting on the go, as I said, and the only area they could really see was like the western edge and the south also over in, so they worked out pretty good around that. But the circle centering up really good on the compound we mentioned earlier, the compound of the real deal on the west of Headshot Valley. They're holding on to it, but now it's going to be very heavily sought after. All teams around it, they might be thinking of breaching it, but now this of Universe taking the spray onto Clay GLA. They also see Gun, but they're in range for grenades, and as I say, the outro going to be chucking up that utility towards Universe, but seem like it just is not going to connect.
Good thing for the real deal, Max, is that really this compound, it's too late to breach because look at the amount of teams around them, right?
Yeah.
Scrim Farm, you got Clay GLA, you got Universe, you got even Gun, because they can still pull some absolute fantastic work off as a two-man team. Never mind the actual real deal themselves inside the compound. They're not going to give it up without a fight.
Literally, also that compound is a little bit of a valley and a little bit of a dip. That means that if you go for the engage and you're not committing fully inside the building itself, it's going to be third-party galore right there. So you're not going to have fun committing to that, as now Universe thinking to move away. But the first team to do that is going to be actually Pusat of Magic. Magic, and they're going to have to send the entire team. Send Pusat first to have a little bit of a foothold in the circle before sending the entire team to securize that location.
I like it from Magic.
Clean.
Course, I'll give that a honestly,
7.
I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Nah, 6 out of 10, man.
6 out of 10, I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
I like you said, like, nah, right away. Like, dude, I'm allowed to have my opinions on those. Come on, like, is that a room segment? God damn it. But yeah, Universe still holding on to that position, maybe delaying that rotation a little bit more because teams could rotate around them, but at least they're in circle so they can just have a decent position and take the fight from here. But Magic now, it's so weird. They had a decent position to play around Pusan, but they're just getting in such a, like, in the valley area of Headshot Valley. Yeah. So many teams have an angle on them. I don't quite understand it. Pusan had the position. Why not use it?
That is very true indeed. When you're Universe up on the high ground on the northern edge of circle like you are right now, you have to be aggressive. Yeah, Gold Touch has gotten knocked, but they have been very proactive on their ability to fire in towards the members down the hill below them. When you're looking at Magic, Gun, and of course Clay GLA, creating that space so when the circle does shift away, there's a higher chance they're going to have a bigger area to play around with. As phase 5 closes in, Magic in amongst the smokes by the tree line. You have MVP still holding on in this game, along with Godsend down on the southern tip with 4 remaining men close by to them.
Yeah, Godsend are looking really good. A little bit scary, though, because they're going to have to go downhill. If the real deal do hold on to that position really well, really strongly, they could put the hell on not only Godsend, but even 4 Romanian men. Scrim Farm playing right now in the fields over on the eastern edge. Going to be a lot of trouble, but now where the main focus is up northwest. A lot of teams are going to be over there. Rescue, you got MVP Gaming, you got Universe, Magic, and even Herbs of Gunda. We did not really expect to still be alive, but he's going to be moving on forward, taking quite the kick damage from this blue zone. Running quite a bit, but he makes it over to a safe area right behind Magic. How did they not spot him out right there? They get him eventually. He's dead. There you go.
But can we just talk about this circle shift? Can the real deal be praying anymore to the PUBGMOBILE gods? It's a magnet shift, of course. You know, the more compression there is, the harder it's going to be for the real deal. What I kind of worry is that maybe they haven't been aggressive enough in this compound. They could easily and possibly send one member out to be a bit more aggressive onto the likes of Rescue Universe. Let's see how it pays off for them.
I'll have to see indeed, but now the real deal. They know that this compound is going to be even more sought after compared to earlier, so some teams could be thinking about breaching this one eventually, but they're going to have to full send it to make it out alive. M24 shot from Cable, going to be trying to connect onto Gold Touch. The knock will not ensue. Universe going for a nice little 2-2 split, which I do like, but unfortunately taken very long to push their way into the circle because now the Blue Zone is going to be knocking on their door back to the wall. That is where mistakes will ensue. Junker from Clay GLA just completely clutched down in that little area. Grenades will be so easy to connect. Tries to fight back. Cable's going to try and go for the angle on the side. Magic, they got to try and play this fight together. Grenade's going to be pushing him out of behind that car. Cable going to be coming on through, but Junker making it wake off actually for his team. He will get punished right after, so Clay GLA eliminated in 9th. By the end, Magic put in one player, lost him with no reason. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, and I really like that push from Cable. I was about to compliment it, then we saw him getting taken out.
Yeah.
Universe still inside this game. They're on 5 kills. Looking for Magic. Could it be Magic now? Could it be Magic now? As look at the 4 teams around this compound.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Godsend, they're going for the breach time onto the real deal, and the real deal, they're taking the big L. Reeves initiates the fight with a grenade. And now they're going to try and take the compound for themselves. Magic down to only one player. That's going to be Tarek over there over distance. Tarek really struggling. But Godsend, oh my god, they're just clearing out the compound, taking all the frags for themselves. Will this be the first chicken dinner going over to Godsend for Group C and D? We'll have to see, but they're definitely looking damn confident. And we call this team being one of our favorites going into today.
And they had got one of their players knocked a minute before that, but they got that revive. They pushed in successfully. And I think this makes sense because it was just, you have to full send it. They were coming from an uphill area. They wouldn't have been able to hold on in the uphill area because they would have been out in the open despite being away from a few of these teams. As he's going to get dropped, it's going to leave Spray in his own. But then on the outskirts of this compound, you do have Scrim Farm. You have the University of Magic.
Tarek able to survive the fight a little bit, but that's not going to be the case for Broly. He's going to be dropped down by Scrim Farm. Scrim Farm going for the full-on, going offensive onto Universe. They want to try and take the foothold of the northern edge. Scrim Farms, nobody knocked away. They got the advantage in terms of men on Universe. Ball touch, Dissy still down there. But you know what? Brody's still giving the information over. They know they're chucking grenades. They've got to be very careful. Staying too close to each other is at risk. Dissy going to be taking that heavy tick damage. Gold touch going to be pushing on down. It's going to be very shortly lived for him. Dissy's going to go for the res last second into the smoke. It could pay off, but really, Scrim Farm, they got through knockdowns. You got to end the fight right now. Go for the push. Make it end right now.
Full send, go hard, go home. Then over on the side of Universe, they did leave it too late to push down the hill. I thought it might go against them. They were able to get the revive onto Error. So there's going to be two members left standing. A heal has been executed. Lenu is very low in health. And he's going to get dropped from behind by Dissy.
Dissy makes it happen. Error's going to be knocked down once again. He's getting bullied out of this lobby. But he's going to be confirmed this time. So no resi for you, Dissy. Grenade are going to be once again flying by. Scrim Farm committing so much utility for literally just one kill. I think you're going to need that utility to breach the compound away from the real deal. Or Godsend seem like it's not the real deal compound anymore. It's a Godsend compound as Dissy gets destroyed by Godsend from a distance. That was a long-range grenade from Navi.
And that was good for Scrim Farm because now they can focus on the teams in front of them. 4 Romanian men, the real deal, and Godsend, along with Scrim Farm down to the last 4 teams. Considering the real deal held on to this compound for the majority of this game. It is a little bit disappointing that they only have 1 player left standing. Thought it might happen. That's why I said that they probably weren't aggressive enough when they were in the circle a couple of phases ago.
He's in a shack alone, so you know what? If they don't really go to scout that shack, you could still pull off a little sneaky on you, even though the chances of that happening are pretty slim. 4 many men, Scrim Farm, still a 4-man team on both ends, and also Godsend. It's going to be a 4v4v4v1. With 4 teams still in play, but 8 kills over to Scrim Farms. They are looking good to initiate this second full split.
And when you really think about it, Godsend, overall, this is a really easy game for them because when you look at it, Scrim Farm and 4 Romanian men, they're going to engage on each other. It's a lot more inevitable. We're already seeing it straight away. It means that Godsend, we know how intuitive they can be. They're going to look to pick up the pieces and close this game out. Of course, anything can happen. It's only game 1 through C and D kicking things off.
Yeah, I mean, Godsend, they know how many players are still in this lobby. They got the advantage. Maybe you want to hold on a little bit more to the east. And as I said that, they're actually going to be going to the east of the compound. They want to keep vision. They know exactly they've got this lip of the heel behind. All the teams are hiding behind. They know how to take control as Spray of the real deal. He's just like, okay, here, a lot of footsteps. I'm not going to peek whatsoever. I'm just chilling. But as I say that, he's just burning up to a Molotov, I believe. So that might just be the end of the real deal as he gets indeed eliminated by the Molly of Mali. They had the information. That's the real deal out in 4. 3 teams still in play as it remains as a 4v4v4 Imperium.
I don't think he knew exactly where he was. I think it was a little bit of a guess. As Lou gets a nice shot, a grenade coming through. This is going to be the call for Scrim Farm to engage.
Yeah, but they're also taking a fight versus 4 Romanian men. So you know what? This is a very sticky situation to be in. Scrim Farm ready to try to make the most out of this situation. Godsend holding on strong. Showed again, absolutely lasered down to the ground in the smoke. As Godsend remain as a 4-man team for the time being, looking damn strong. Navi's going to get rezzed up, but now 4 Romanian men, they hear all the gunshots. They want to try and go for the third party onto this one. They want to initiate the fight while the enemy team of Godsend is struggling and also trying to heal up from their wounds.
There's so much I want to break down for the final minutes of this game, but either way, I feel like Godsend are overall in firm control. I like this 2-2 split from 4 Romanian men. It could work out in their favor.
Yeah, the moment that lip of the heel is going to be out in the blue zone, that is when the fight and the full offensive will have to get pushed on forward by 4 Romanian men. They do find Rana was a nice little sexy grenade. Now turn that one into a 4v3 as Dexter is already inside the building. So you know what? If Godsend go for the push towards 4 Romanian men, he might be that casualty, that player that you might just not expect and put the hurt down onto the Godsend composition. As they confirm the kill onto Rana. Bam, WWS taking their time. WWS is going to be taking the L with that grenade. They try and reverse it back over to Rolkis, but will not be funding the knock as Bam now taking it with Dexter in a 2v4 scenario. The grenades are flying by, and now Godsend, they want to take the advantage, but once again, be careful, Dexter's right there. They might just not expect it. Confirming they kill onto WWS first. They find Dexter right after. They were sure they had the information going their way. Bam is going to get pushed out into the blue zone, and that is going to be the end of this first game. That's going to be taken flawlessly by Godsend as a 4-man team. Look at that, 19 kills, almost going to the 20-kill bomb on the first game. What the hell was that?
The name speaks for itself. God sent. They were sent by God into this PMCO fall split, and they have answered their own prayer. They haven't answered the prayers of every single other team, I tell you that much. They sent them all down to hell. What a great, fantastic game from Godsend. As I said, the rotation that they pulled off from the uphill area outside Pichinki down to that compound was perfect. So many other teams would be way too passive. Godsend, they don't care. Why? Because they want to win, and they're willing to take the chances. They took the chance. It could have gone against them, but again, the real deal, we're not really aggressive enough overall, and they paid the price as well. Still a great game, and yeah, just Godsend.
To be a little bit on the side of the real deal, I gotta say, holding that position was really hard because they had a lot of teams trying to aim for that position, and I think they did a good job of like how they were positioned in the compound at first. But then once the Godsend arrived in the compound, that was when the response should have been a lot faster. Grenades, utility, taking the shots. They should have tried and reclaim that control. I think maybe it was a little bit too slow from the real deal. In my opinion, that's where the real deal fell apart and allowed the compound to be overtaken by Godsend.
Really want to give a huge shout out to Scrim Farm. That push when they knew there was two teams around them to go into the compound, it didn't work out, but the fact that they went to pull it off, I'll always commend the team for that. They got third party, which meant they got a player knocked for their side, which made it a lot easier for Godsend to come in and get the squad right. They probably should have engaged onto 4 Romanian men rather than Godsend, but the fact that they still went for that play, I know, man, I just really appreciate it compared to 4 Romanian men who were maybe a little bit too passive when it was just them and Godsend left standing. And we saw it yesterday, and I think we're seeing it again today. The grenade power from Godsend was just non-stop.
Absolutely nuts. Like the grenades now, we saw it yesterday coming on through, seeing it today once again. European grenades are becoming a thing, so you want to be careful, guys, especially all the teams in the world. When we have a European team go over to the World Championship, you want to keep them in mind because them nades do be sexy. But like, I definitely do think that at the end, you mentioned Scrim Farm, and I want to try and talk about them again real quick. They did have to push onto Godsend. They did go for that one. I think it was just really tricky situation because you can't play too passive, and you can't. And if you play aggressive, you got to force send it because the reason is they're pushing into the compound of Godsend. You have 4 Romanian men on your left side as you're pushing forward towards Godsend. If you stop in the middle of that rotation, which I think one player or two did, 4 Romanian men have the angle. They're going to third party, which happened at the end. They did really struggle, but Scrim Farm, they tried to take control. I respect the hassle. I respect the attempt, but at the end, it was a really sticky situation to play with, and 4 Romanian men, they just punished that really, and they took that game. They took second position, but Godsend, they saw the teams were not really too healthy. They striked when they needed to the most, and they took that game so easily. Like Godsend, I mean, we called it right at the very start of the stream. Godsend, you got to be careful. These guys are insanely good at PUBG Mobile.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come together in the right way, but they've definitely proved me wrong. Credit where it's due. Universe, solid result overall. Getting 5 kills, 11 points in total. It was just the fact that they were a little bit too passive, pushing down from the high ground towards that compound ahead around Headshot Valley, that Scrim Farm were able to take control. If they had maybe sent 2 members down, you're talking like 15-20 seconds earlier, even before Scrim Farm got to you, it could have definitely been Universe in the position that Scrim Farm were in the final couple of minutes.
There was just so many teams northwest that, like, it was a big cluster. If anyone pushed and took a little bit too slow of an engagement to make it to the compound of Godsend, get inside the buildings, it was going to not even be a third party. It was going to be like a 5-6 team party at the end. So it was a very sticky situation to be in. The only way to really make your way out of that point is to take the fight, eliminate all the teams around you, then rotate. It was going to be really hard. But what I want to take our attention to real quick is the global standings. Even though it's a little bit of a mix-up, you got some teams with 4 games, some teams with 1 game, so it's not really representative. But just to show, Godsent with 1 game, was a chicken dinner, already up in 6th position around teams that already got 4 games, Imperium. That is mental.
I noticed that straight away. 39 points for 1 game. If they in any way keep on the halfway beating track of that, right, you know, it's easy. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy for them ending the day on top. You know,
got half the score of GSG Europe, half in 1 game, and they did so good.
I know. Yep. And like even Scrum Farm at 15th, I know you might think, oh, it's only 15, but still 18 points in 1 game. That's like better than, you know, that's better than some teams, obviously, after 4 games. It has dropped teams that obviously it's dropped quite a few teams that played yesterday. It's dropped them down in the overall standing. So Red have gone down to 17th and Sirens going down to 20th. But yeah, it's obviously we'll see a much bigger picture the more we get into today's games.
I mean, that was definitely one hell of a way to kick things off today. And Godsent, at the end, we still got 3 games. Like, it's insane to think they're already in 6 with only 1 game and still got 3 more games to come up. Are they going to do not only take number 1 position, could they also hit the 100-point bomb today in literally just 4 games? You saw also on the CIS stream earlier, Alliance do the 100-point bomb. Are we going to have now our European 100-point bomb in only 4 games? That will be mental to have. But now, aiming towards the future, putting our eyes for the next game is going to be Sanhok coming straight up. And I gotta say, the team that impressed me the most, and they could have a really good game on Sanhok, that's 4 Romanian men. Timing these engages properly. And yeah, they time the engage really good onto scrim farms, and I think they're really good at third parties. I think that's a skill you want to have going into Sanhok. After we're like, it's 1 game, we don't have too much information on how they play into PMCO itself. But I think that, you know, I could be happily impressed with 4 Romanian men going to game number 2.
That's fair, but I would even say the top 3 of game 1 can be pretty strong in Sanhok.
Yeah. I think Godsent's a given.
Godsent's a little bit of a given because they're aggressive team. It suits an aggressive map like Sanhok. Scrim Farm, they tend to take control of that south area from the south hill of Bootcamp. XTEAM aren't playing in today's game, so it's going to be a little bit freer for them there. So we'll have to wait for that to pan out. Not that I'm trying to get too far ahead of myself, but it's just I'm just kind of thinking, could we have the top 3 similar from game 2 that we had in game 1? It's gonna be crazy if that happens.
Yeah, yesterday was a little bit top heavy, actually pretty damn top heavy. It might be happening also for Group C and Group D, so yeah, really enjoyable to see that. Before we do go for a break, I want to mention another team that could be also really good on Sanhok, and I think that you might agree with me on that one, Imperium. Like, the last few scrims, we had a lot of Sanhok games happening, and one team that's been damn impressive, that is Karabakh Horses. Their rotations are really impressive. Yes. Even YAKUZA PX, I think they showed a few interesting rotations also, but Karabakh Horses, I think they got a really intriguing approach to the Sanhok map.
It was one of, what was it? It was one of the last
it's the last
days
one
that we had. It was the last one where we had a northwest island finish, and instead of them trying to breach the mountain that I believe it was for Romanian Squad held on to, they decided to, because they shifted towards Camp Alpha.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Camp Alpha, yeah.
Camp Alpha. They rotated on the north of the mountain and came in towards Camp Alpha, took control, won the game. It was just a really well executed rotation. So yeah, fully agree. Excited to see them in this game too.
Well, that said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this first game. Still got insane indeed, but still 3 more games to come straight up. So we'll be back in just a few short minutes for game numero 2, and that's going to be on Sanhok. See you guys in a bit.
Roy's countering. Percocet gets the knock.
Oh, another one.
Quick counter.
The trade. Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that. J-Sam coming in for the support.
Ooh, that was a nice little break that we needed, because that was one hell of a first game. Imperium got sent taking and initiating their first day with a chicken dinner, catching up already to so many teams. Already still got 4 games under their belt. Absolutely mental. But now our focus is going to be going to game number 2 on Sanhok.
It wasn't even just, and I know we kind of highlighted it, but we didn't mention this specific part, right? We talked about how they got 19 kills, 39 points in total, and you know, half the points of GSG, but they got over double the points of second place in that first game alone, 39, and then Scrim Farm with 18 points, 4 Romanian men with 18 points. That's a monstrous game one. And you know, when we talk about the spring split, we talk about a little bit about Cream Esports choking. They're the first team that always comes into my head in the finals. Reeves was in Cream, and you know, he kind of brought it up to me as a joke in the server because it's Reeves, and I was like, oh yeah, sorry, like I didn't mean to, it's just first team who comes to mind. He's like, don't worry, keep mentioning it, I use it as motivation. Reeves uses what happened in the spring split as motivation for this split. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's always good to be able to look at the past, look at your past mistakes, and improve on that. You know, well, at least now they've got a very solid base, and I think they can be really proud of themselves. There it is. It's going to be Sanhok for our second game on the northern edge, all down to the south of Sami. But you know what? Red Reserve, they're not here, so Sami could also be free real estate for any teams that wants to, but we got Karabakh horses, and if Karabakh horses is in this lobby, normally, at least, they should be going for Paradise Resort, because that's where they like to play.
It is indeed, and one team that I absolutely love their drop spot is Gun. It's that cow Tapmock area nearly always goes untouched, and yeah, even though most of the circles tend to be around the west southwest area of the map, I really think it's a great starting point overall for Gun to push into this with. However, it's kind of, it could benefit them. They don't want to go on the bridge, but they can easily go across the water on the Hatting.
Say it with me. Boat rotation. Boat rotation. Boat rotation all day, baby. All the time. Like, you got, especially you just talked about Gun, right? Cal, take the boat from Cal, rotate on the northern side of Hattin, or even the west of Camp Alpha. Easy peasy.
I don't think they will want to do it as a full squad. They could send 2 players up, but actually have 2 players move across on foot. The reason why is because they can go on the high ground of the black hole area, get a little bit of information while they rotate close into the center circle.
Oh, hack shot from the Real Deal. Very unfortunate run of events for them. Grenade going to be cooked up by Azzy. Will it be on point? But Kayete, he's in a lot of trouble. Getting sprayed down by Spray from a distance. I didn't even do that on purpose. I said Spray, and then I said the name was Spray. But you know what? That's fine. The Real Deal trying to reclaim control of this compound. Azzy's going to be confirming that knockdown onto Moon. Also, I mean, the Real Deal. You talked about how the fact they needed to control their compound in last game better. They're doing that so well this time around.
And just, I'm so impressed with Azzy. Just so impressed with Azzy. He popped off so heavily in the spring split as well. That Uzi spray from a distance on the Moon, it's going to leave Rescue with just 2 players up. And it will give the lovely Real Deal 2 kills to play with.
Yep. A little bit of confidence too. You know what? Confidence is always good to have when you're going on Sanhok, because you're going to play aggressive so much potentially. So I think it's really a good way to kick off this game for them. The sent clown back on over, took a lot of damage from the side, and I think the Blood, this is a fight that he does not want to take, as he's going to be trying to go down. Spray relentless on his position right there, like the high ground position, the rocks he can hide behind. He's got just so much control. He wants to punish Rescue from holding on to this compound breach for too long.
That's what I was thinking. Like, Rescue are getting no breathing room. They're getting no space. The Real Deal are hunting for blood in more ways than one.
Yeah, looking for blood. Yeah, I just got it. I was like, I looked at his name. I was like, oh, okay. You know what? I don't get them right away. I'm really bad for that. Imperium. I know you put like you're face palming right now. I know. I'm a little bit slow. I'm French. You know what? It's fine. It's okay, you know, I'm a French boy. I'm a little bit slow. I was born like this. Please don't dumb shame me, Imperium, but blood. Blood will be found, and there you go. Spray. I mean, where's this barrel? He is so good, and he's going to be confirming that kill instantly.
We don't talk too much about like kind of guns because I feel like there isn't
the meta is set.
Really always too much to talk about, but I do think the barrel
nice and slow, just like on the
wow, Luigi. I do think the barrel is a little bit underrated as a gun. It's compared to the AKM, it's just not as heavily used, but I think in the right hands, it can be way more powerful and effective than an AKM.
You got yourself the few players of Godsend. They already, well, a few players, all the players, they crossed over the river already because I think they're trying to predict that the circle is going to go over to the Camp Alpha, which there's a big chance of that happening. So I'm going to say fair enough to that move.
Also want to point out that you're correct, Dave. Gun have taken that boat rotation as a full squad.
I think it's a little bit early. Maybe it's phase 1. You don't even know if it's going to fully commit to it. I like to see phase 2 pop up, then go for the rotation. But you know what? I think it's still good rotation for them. It's really safe. You're not going to go on the mainland. You're not going to take a third party.
I would slightly disagree because it's Sanhok, so teams are naturally going to be closer together. So if you leave it too late and all 4 members are inside that boat, then you could easily get absolutely screwed. If they had 2 members outside the boat and 2 members in the boat, then yes, phase 2 I think would be more effective because the 2 members outside the boat would be able to protect them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's like just about timing and how they like to play it. So I think you also have a valid point right there, even though you're wrong. No, sorry. Just gonna. I think it's okay. But like the boat rotations did indeed come on through. Scrim Farm now. Gonna hold on to the mountaintop, but it's a little bit like Prison right on Erangel, where there's always a high ground position and Scrim Farms. And on the tippity top of the mountain, that's like a Nostra. But because it's so spread, the firepower is just not as present to really fully dominate on Scrim Farm.
Oh, Scrim Farm in a little bit of a risk.
Oh, wait, Godson. Okay. The breach to him. Gonna be sent. God, he's sneaking. He's sneaking Imperial. SSMR right now. He knows he's there. They're gonna be cooked up. He goes boom down to about mid health. The Sensei Squad now gonna be fully engaged by Godsend. Rockets will be the one to find the head of Sensei Squad, blowing straight off. Now Collegiale, they got a little bit of a mountain top, so they can stop that flush from happening a little bit longer. But unfortunately, if you want to go for the res and make him back alive, really you're gonna have to breach it, and that is something that they're not quite ready to do.
I do think my feed is a little bit behind you, and then I'm actually having an issue loading it, so you're gonna have to continue on while I get back into this feed.
That is completely A-okay. But now Godsend got a really good foothold in this circle. We still haven't even seen phase 2, and so many teams are committing to the northwestern island, which I think is nice, but I think that also some teams could try and just maybe keep one player on the mainland over to the east and the center of the map. I think that could be something to have work in your favor, and if the circle does hardly shift away from that location, I think you could definitely take really good control and deny teams on their rotation. Scrim Farms, talking about rotation, making their way up to the funnel area, taking the fight towards Hunter and Alibaba. And the thing that I mentioned earlier, right, is the fact that they were so spread trying to take control. They do not have that man advantage to take the fight versus Scrim Farm. Now Pekka pushing up with the rest of his team. Alibaba left alone behind that rock. Now they're trying to reposition, but they don't check Alibaba. He takes the first initiating knockdown onto Scrim Farm, but they get the information a little bit too late. But still will be able to punish that position. Inori going to try and come out from his building, taking a fight, but that's going to be the end of Lacquer, Nostra, Power, and now Scrim Farms. They got the control of the mountaintop.
Nice. I like that because it was always risky the way Scrim Farm were coming up that mountainside, and you know, holding on to a high ground, you really gotta know how to handle it. And Lacquer Nostra didn't, and they got burned.
I think they had a good position at the very start when Scrim Farm were far away, but the thing is, right, not only taking fights and pushing teams away, it's also giving information over. The moment the Scrim Farm started pushing over, they were not able to shoot them, and they made it over to the cliffside. The instant they made it to the cliffside, that they were not threatened by Lacquer Nostra Power anymore, Lacquer Nostra should have instantly been like, okay, we got a team down below. They're going to push our position, regroup as a full squad, then push onto Scrim Farm, or at least let them push and funnel them down. That was a mistake, unfortunately, that cost them that early game, and that's going to be them eliminated in 16. It's very unfortunate, but I'm sure we'll see Lacquer Nostra Power come back strongly in game 3 and 4.
Sorry, I'm still struggling to load the feed myself, so I really have little to no information of kind of what's going on right now, but I'm going to do my best.
Hey, that's what you see. I don't know, is Irish Wi-Fi known as not being good, maybe? Even though I'm not sure. I gotta shame it, because you'd be like, the other day was like, oh, my Wi-Fi is so good, look at me go. But
I know, right, man?
You just flexing, and now here it is, karma on you, Imperium. That's what you get for flexing your Wi-Fi. No, I might get crappy French Wi-Fi over here, but at least it works. But Universe, they're going to be holding on to their compound over towards that mark. They're going to be slowly moving on by. Karabakh Horses went for now a 2-2 split up north of Paradise Resort, and I like that rotation quite a bit. Even if the Noisy Boys are not here, it's fine. But Magic, their team are going to be going for a bow rotation up in the northern edge, very similar to what Gun were pulling off earlier as they moved away from Kao. But now, imagine if they breached in the same area where Gun are. That'll be very, very unfortunate, Imperium. But like, there's still a lot of water areas so they can go very far. But wait, did the boat just explode there? Well, the boat did actually. So Magic are now swimming, lost in the open seas of Sanhok. As 4 Romanian men, they're going to try and get the sprays down. Magic, that's what can happen during boat rotations. And that's a very unfortunate run of events for Magic. Are you back in?
That's why you don't leave it too late, Max.
Yeah, exactly. But are you back in the game or still not?
No,
okay, I thought you were back in there for a second. That's okay. I'll keep on going, you guys. It's okay. I can solo cast. But Godsend still holding on to the pretty central position. Phase 2 Circle did center up a little bit more to the northwestern islands. So now he can start committing even more heavily, especially Best Friend Forever. I think their team are going to have to cross on over early, over the other side of the bridge towards Tatmok to make sure they don't get pressured down. Karabakh Horses, though, they're slowly getting pushed upon by Universe. They do have a 2-2 split, so the man advantage not going their way. But 4 Romanian men leaving Cowl very early, making it towards that nice little high ground position to hold on to. They can put the hurt down against these two teams of Karabakh Horses and Universe, but Titan wants to try and take control in the lumberyard area. Tatmok pushing his way forward. Universe trying to push on out, but Titan maybe a little bit too overzealous right here. If he gets knocked, he's going to be in a position where getting rezzed up is going to be extremely complicated.
I don't know if our feeds match sync wise, but at least I'm back in, so I'm going to be able to give a little bit of context. I don't know if you want to read how far into the game we are, so I have a bit of an idea.
My timer on top right is currently 37, 36, 35, 34.
10, like 10, 30?
10? No, 0.
How long into the game are you?
I'm, on the right is 10, 28, 29, 30.
Yeah.
We're good?
You're about a second ahead. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But is it going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy for either one of these teams? Karabakh Horses, I like that 2-2 split because they're two of those players are inside the high ground. The only thing is this logging area, there's so many little crevices where you can protect yourself from the high ground area that it could go against Karabakh Horses because they are against the grain in this wooded area.
I mean, it was a 4v2 earlier. Now it's even Stevens. Gold Touch, Broly taken out. Titan, Barracuda still remaining in Tatmok. As the Barracuda trying to go for a very intriguing angle. But the thing is, even if Universe push, you can see from up above, you got Wozo, you also got yourself Tamco. Like, they got the pressure down. They just can't move. They're literally pinned down in this location. It's so hard. And I got to say, I love where Wozo went. This is such a great reposition. Putting even more pressure down onto Universe. They literally just can't move an inch. If they do, an angle will be held by at least one player of Karabakh Horses.
Here's the thing, Max. I'm also thinking as Wozo should be able to find DC.
Yeah.
Karabakh Horses are not being aggressive enough. They're outside the circle. If you focus too much on a fight, you're losing position inside the circle.
There it is now. It's all down to error. I've seen him clutch it in the scrim. Oh no, he does the mistake of climbing up on that little crate. Very unfortunate. That's going to be costing quite a lot of damage and put him down to low health. So Tyson can finish off the job. Universe eliminated in 15th. Very unfortunate. That is why you don't hold on to the edge of Tatmok because so many teams can see you.
True. Goodbye, Karabakh Horses overall. We talked about how good they have been on rotations in Sanhok. Now they will have to push in. They're going to have to take advantage of their ability to close in. As the circle is closing up, the blue zone is going to be exposing in the next phase. That early rotation by Gun, I really like it because they didn't stick to the coastal line. They have moved closer towards, let's say, the center a bit. Having Mamula on that forward position overlooking the mountain area is pretty valuable for them.
I don't think he's overlooking the mountain. I think he's underlooking. Well, like, he's a little bit underneath.
You're able to look up at least.
It was a pun.
It was a joke. Okay.
Joke is like because like can't overlook the mountain because he's below. But okay.
What do you mean, Max? Okay.
I mean, it's fine. I think this is the first time you don't get one of my jokes because normally I'm the one that get your jokes, Imperium. So that's a first.
You did miss one of my jokes earlier on.
When we just ignored it, maybe.
I playing Karabakh Horses and I talked about against the grain and they were in the wooded area.
Oh, that's too big. That's too big brain of a joke, Imperium. I have a small brain. I have a big small brain. A big small brain. Very counterintuitive what I'm saying right here.
Big small brain. Okay.
But yeah, slowly now, a lot of teams are going to be pushing towards Scrim Farm and Scrim Farm. They're in a similar position as La Nostra earlier. Now, can they fix this position to what happened for La Nostra Power? Can they have that synergy come into play if a team gets too close? That's what I'm expecting. Scrim Farm is a team that excels at holding those high ground positions. I have a lot of expectations for them.
I do as well. When you look at Peko, he's instantly looking in a direction. The only thing is they will have to be a bit more aggressive than, let's say, the real deal were in the first game. They will have to take control more heavily. It's not that they have to join up as a person squad in one area just yet, because it still is only phase 3. But as you get into the next phase, depending on where it shifts, yes, they will have to think about their current positions high on top of that mountain. But all the while, the teams that are down south, like Team Push, Godsend, and Clay GLA, they are going to get naturally a lot closer to each other.
Yeah, Team Push were rotating from the southern side of the overall trifecta. They did get very close to MVP Gaming, I do believe it was, but you know what? They just burst on by without too much of an issue. So they did make it over to the section of Godsent. But really, then a little bit of a long range. If they want to commit to it, they can. They're just going to have to chuck a bit of utility, some smokes to make your way closer to Godsend. But Godsend, they got a little bit of a 2-2 split to hold information over towards the mountainside and also make sure a team doesn't get too close over next to the river.
The only thing is, if you're on a 2-2 split, I was going to say that potential third party being pinched in between two teams could go against you. But they're at least they're handling things on one side, getting a knockdown on the Team Push. But either way, Clay GLA are waiting in the wings, biding their time.
I mean, I called it a 2-2 split from Godsend. They're in the same compound. It's like a mini 2-2 split. You know, they're not too far away, but they're just still holding control of 3 different segments. They can call it like a mini 2-2 split.
It's the fact that they're pinching between two teams that 2-2 split is under a bit more risk. So that's why it was like, I totally got what you were saying with that 2-2 split, and it makes complete sense.
Now this game is definitely a lot more relaxed. We lost 2 teams already in this lobby. Gaijin going to be swimming on by. I believe I would like to see if Magic finally arrived over to the northern coastline, because they've been swimming for absolute ages faster before Romanian main sprayed them down. So they might still be swimming with the fishies. Bally's is a little bit of workout. They'll be extra muscly after that.
Maybe they were looking for Wilson.
Wilson? What?
Oh,
I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
It's fine. It's cool.
If you said Flipper, I'll be like, yes, I get Flipper. But if you,
I'm dead. Oh my lord. But anyway, next has shifted up, and I tell you what, it's flipped these teams on their heads overall, especially Scrim from high on top of their mountain. They're going to have to push their way down, and then Nox are engaging onto Gun, we can see on the western side of the map.
You see next to the Death Valley, you guys have that nice mountaintop down south. I would love to see a team take control of that location, but right now, our location is under a lot of pressure. That's going to be Nox taking the fight towards Gun, but Gun, they're holding on so damn strong. And Zaniel, I want to see this guy pop off. He got eliminated so early last game. I want to try and see him redeem himself, as now Nox down to only 2 players. That's going to be Sparta and Orcs. But you know what? Spartiats, they are deadly foes. As Sparta takes the sprint to Zania, and he takes it down. Nice. Greatly done, but now this is going to make things a little bit easier for you. They take 1 initial knockdown and go on to outro. 1 bullet's going to be enough. Oxan makes it happen. Is a 2v4 clutch going to happen? Now 1v4 clutch is going to be happening for Oxan. Going to be trying his best to hold on to that location. Sparta, unfortunately, getting sprayed from a distance. That's going to be him eliminated. Knocks down to only 1 player confirmed for the remaining section of this game.
Yeah, but probably not a situation that we're going to have to lose a player in. A little bit loosey-goosey on that push. Last remaining players of Nox. Grenade is being thrown out, and Herbs is going to get dropped by the real deal. Third party.
I mean, Spray has been just so consistent this game already on Sanhok. I'm loving to see it. Now, they're going to be in the blue, ticking down. Phase 4 going to go towards Phase 5. Is going to be tickling a little bit too much. And you know what? I'm not a fan of tickles, so don't do it. Not going to be fun. As Orksan, here it is, going to be trying to push towards the rock on Mamula. He's got the Vector power in Pyramid. Will it be enough to overwhelm? Orksan takes a little bit more bullets, and he connects the last few shots. Mamula's going to be clearing out this compound. Nox eliminated in 14th, and they remain for the future to go.
The Vector power, baby. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Of course, Mamula will be left on his own, and the real deal will pretty much know exactly where he is. He is still throwing smokes out, and I like that because he's going to try and loot up the bodies of his opponents and, of course, his teammates to extract as much health utility grenades as he can as he tries to make his way into the circle.
Fishing Simulator shall be engaged for Team Push. Apparently for Clay GLA also, if they want to try and really get involved at a distance. There it is. That's going to be Tamco taking down Mario. The thing is, when you're in the water like that, you're even more at risk because once you get knocked, instant death. No second chance. Now, Andy is going to be undercovered by the other teams. They're going to try and find him. Now, breathing is illegal for them. If you peek out, you're potentially going to get headshot.
Jesus, imagine breathing being illegal.
It is. It is.
Wow.
Look at him. If he's going to breathe, they see him. No, actually, from the high ground, they're denying Tamco from peeking. Ooh.
Yeah, Clay GLA are not exactly third-partying, but they are giving a bit more space for Andy of Team Push to get underneath that bridge and hopefully keep himself alive. There is CLW as well, so if he can make his way to the edge of that bridge, that'd be pretty valuable indeed. All the while, carback horses onto Scrim Farm. I feel like Scrim Farm have been a little bit slow on their push down the mountain. I would understand why, because they know they're in a bit of a precarious position, so going down too early, they can be spotted out, but also going down too late, you're at risk of being spotted as well. It's very risky in where they are.
I mean, in circle, so I'm completely okay with Scrim Farm holding to that location. I like it quite a bit. Mamula V2 going to be popping up to the kill feed. We said it earlier, right? He is a one-man army. He's going to have to try his best to remain alive and deal with anything that comes at him. Tick of Rescue trying to make his way through. You got Jay also engaging just in the water, trying to take his time, but that's going to be the end of Tick of Rescue. Very unfortunate. 12 teams still in play. But now, Paraback Horses, you got to leave this scene. You got to go for that car rotation. Wozo, Wish Titan are going to be aiming for future endeavors, but Scrim Farms, they put the pressure on every team down below. They're just looking like ants. They're just like, okay, we're going to squish down every team and take all those kills.
Yeah, but look at this, because we're on the high ground, yes, they have the elevation advantage, but if you are looking down a bit too aggressively, the whole of your body is exposed.
Oh, Andy, that was such a good spray with a cube easy onto Wozo. Team push, they just moved away last second. They really don't have too much information. Look at that circle shifting back over to Scrim Farm's high ground position.
Wow.
I said aim for it and you'll have a good game. Scrim Farms are looking great indeed. Carabac Horses, Titan and Tamco. The res will slowly come on through onto Wozo. But unfortunately, this building doesn't have a door Imperium. Not a lot of privacy. That means teams could easily come around and take that kill.
But I just don't think there's enough in that area that are going to spot.
They should be okay, yeah.
Because I think 4 Romanian men are definitely more looking towards the direction of the real deal. Do have MVP on the high mountain side on the other end of where Scrim Farm are. And they are outside the circle. Actually, no, they're on the low ground right now. They try to make their way up towards the members of Scrim Farm.
You talked about MVP Gaming earlier being this team that is very dangerous and you don't want to, overlook them because they can be a really big issue if you do let them get too close. Which they were able to get too close to Scrim Farm, but now they're going to get the spray down. Talking about spray of the real deal. Going to be joining up into the kill feed quite a bit, the real deal. They're going to have to move away from that compound right now because they have no more time on the clock available for them. MVP Gaming going to be losing their very first player. They still got Danny bound below with the entire team. The real deal trying their best to move away from that location. They lose 2, but 2 players will make it over to the cliff side. So that's a 50% success rate for them on that push.
Yeah, and credit where it's due. Scrim Farm is still full squad.
Yeah, MVP, here it is. They're going to go for the initiation onto Scrim Farm. The circle's going to be right behind them. MVP Gaming, unfortunately, getting absolutely destroyed by Scrim Farm, holding strong to this compound. This is what I wanted to see happen earlier for La Nostra Power and Scrim Farms. They're showing how it's done. The real deal down below was also Clay GLA. It might actually potentially end up to a battle of heals, but actually, as I say that, that's going to be a big no. The clear side will not be in play. It's going straight to the mountaintop. Scrim Farms, this is their game to win as it's turned into now a 4v2v2.
Don't give up on the real deal, of course. Hackshot Nazi, 2 teammates from the spring split in this lineup, but a great grenade by Pecco has really chunked down the health of Azzy.
If you want to make history, Pecco, jump down and take the shot. Don't do it. I'm just saying it would be pretty cool. But not a professional tip right there. They find a hack shot of the real deal. Now it's a 4v2v1. Play GLA really trying to buy as much time as possible to potentially take that second position for themselves. But Tanik and Azzy getting a little bit too close to each other. They push out. Oh my god, Lini gets it. Goes for the spray. Actually misses that, but one is going to be picked up right after by Azzy. Going for that kill. That's going to be their 7th kill. The real deal. Day and night compared to game 1 on Erangel. Here it is, jump shot happening from Jody. Here's surprise. Umaiwamu Shinderu. Nani, says Jody. Nani indeed. And now it's just going to be Hardboy down for Clay GLA. It's going to be a 4v2. Going to go for another jump shot. Umaiwamu Shinderu v2, but no, it's going to be instantly responded. No Nani this time around. Hardboy picking up kill number 6 for Clay GLA. 3v1 right now, but Hardboy in the blue zone. He's going to be ticking down. No way can move away from that. This is going to be chicken dinner over to Scrim Farm.
Heal battle, potentially?
Nah, the circle is 30 seconds now. Hey, really? What? What? I mean,
are you giving Clay GLA free kills?
Maybe also the reason was to try and deny the heal away, but you know what? That's fair. And we said it right in Pyramid. One team that does so well on mountaintops, that is Scrim Farms, and they proved it once again.
Yeah, really great result from them. I was a little bit critical of their positioning. I think it was on phase 3 or 4. I got it wrong 110%. They played that game absolutely beautifully on their position. They look confident. Their kill count speaks for itself, and that's something that is so valuable holding on to that mountainside, is that you are able to take advantage of the area and get those kills and not allow teams to get too close to you. Because for example, if they hadn't been aggressive enough onto MVP, if they had given a bit too much space onto MVP in theory could have third-partied them. So just that control, that execution, such a well-rounded result for Scrim Farm, especially off the back of getting second place, or third place, should I say, in game 1. That's consistency personified.
Yeah, I really enjoy what they've been able to pull off so far. Like, it really shows the lack of extra power. If they were able to set the aggro onto Scrim Farm early on when they were pushing, this chicken dinner could have gone over to lack of extra power. Unfortunately, they didn't take the opportunity, and Scrim Farm like, okay, you know what? This is free real estate. Easy secure. We're going to take the high ground position, and they take the entire series. 14 kills going their way, plus a chicken dinner. That is going to be overall 34 points in their back pocket. Great stuff coming out from Scrim Farms. Clay GLA securing second position with 7 kills. Then the Real Deal out in third position with also pretty chunky amount of kills. 7 kills going in their back pocket. Like, definitely like the Real Deal on Scrim Farms. Consistency. 2 top 3s in a row. That's looking insanely good for them.
It is overall looking pretty good for those two teams. MVP, sorry, not MVP, should I say Godsend, they still got 7 points in that game. So if you take 39 plus 7, for example, that's going to be 46. That's still an average of 23 points per game. But I kind of prefer what Scrim Farm did and even the Real Deal, because those consistent results, those 2 top 5s kind of thing, I like the consistency.
I just said the Real Deal 2 third positions. No. They actually had a 4th position on game number 1. But it's still 4th position, 3 position, but tomato, that is same thing. But with that said, now we're going to be having, of course, these 2 games come into play. I believe the standings are currently updated, so I'm going to check that out and update it really quickly. You can see how these teams are comparing to the teams that played yesterday, because I got to say, Group C and Group D, it kind of starting to pop off, Imperium.
They are a bit. Godsend moving up to 5th, slowly but surely, 3 points behind Time to Shine, who've played, of course, 2 extra games. You're only 4 points behind the Noisy Boys, and they are still about half the points of well, less than half the points of GSG. So that has kind of evened out a little bit. When you look at the side of sorry, I'm trying to find them. Oh, Scrim Farm. Wow. Okay, I totally missed that. Scrim Farm was jumped up second. I totally missed that. My apologies, Scrim Farm, because I was like, surely they're still going to be behind. I don't know why I had it in my head, but I thought they're going to be behind Godsend. No, they're in second, 52 points. Poggers.
Pretty big poggers right there. Like, Scrim Farms, they showed and they proved the consistency is better than hitting those chicken dinners and then having a lower performance. They proved that Godsend, even though they got a really good chicken dinner on the first game, was 19 kills in their back pocket, that if you are consistent over 2 games in top 3 2 times in a row, I mean, you're going to be getting yourself some really damn good results. So Scrim Farms now in second, kind of threatening the position of GSG Europe. They really set a really huge standard for the European teams right here. Yesterday, the Scrim Farm, they're slowly catching up. I mean, slowly, they're very quickly catching up.
And if I'm not mistaken, when you take out of these 2 groups, the closest team behind them is, if I'm not mistaken, because I could still be wrong because I'm a potato, is the Real Deal, and they're in 13th with 28 points. So really, like, out of these 2 groups, Scrim Farm and Godsend, they are, you know, heavily standing out. Even though we talked about the kind of consistency of the Real Deal, it's just not the same dominating consistency compared to kind of Godsend and Scrim Farm from the first 2 games.
Yeah, and you got to think to yourself, this is the group stage. If you're on top 16, you're pretty damn safe. You want to be in top 24, of course, that's where you really want to be. But overall, if you're right here in only 2 games, you can still be extremely proud of your performances. But there you have it. That's going to be Scrim Farm, you know, initiating a really first good day for them in PMCO for the full split. And I think that their team definitely, we did hype up quite a bit, and they you know what? They proved themselves worthy of all the hype because this team has been showing up and they got a good high ground position, and we claim them time and time again that they play extremely well on high ground. They used it perfectly, and even contested a team that was playing on the high ground that was lack on Nostra power. So you know what? If there's a mountaintop finish, you know that Scrim Farms, they can take that win for themselves.
Yeah, it was just overall absolutely strong standard. I do think that Gun had banked themselves a little bit by being on the west, and I noted that it was good that they didn't stay to the coastline when they moved over to Northwest Island. But I would like to seen them maybe go a bit closer to that central part of the mainland as opposed to sticking to the west. The only benefit is that it can be a little bit easier to rotate from that. Still, overall, not a bad game from Gun, but they didn't have a good result at all in game one, which means that, you know, they've yet
to make
really
up for it.
They really haven't started their journey in the PMCO just yet as they would like to.
From this journey so far, it's only like a day and a half of action, and it's already absolutely insane. I'm loving every single second of it. But if you guys at home are also enjoying the action, what you can go and do once again is go over to esportsawards.com/vote if you do enjoy some PUBG Mobile esports for yourself, as PUBG Mobile is nominated as one of the best esports mobile game of 2020. If you want to vote for them and allow them to take that award, definitely go over to that link. Also, link is in the description down below, and you'll be able to vote and support the PUBG Mobile esports scenes as a whole. So thank you very much to those of you guys who will be doing it.
Yeah, 110%. You know, I also want to turn our attention a little bit to the bottom of the standings. From 32nd to 23rd, it's all teams that are playing in this set of groups, Group C and Group D. The only good thing, obviously, is that Universe, Carback Horses, and Best Friends Forever are all only 2 points behind the Sirens and 3 points behind vFOR. So they are relatively close of getting confidently into the top 24 for the first 4 games out of all the groups.
Yeah, a few teams definitely struggling down here, but you know what? It's only one day. We got 6 days total of action, so it's still easily doable for these teams to claim back up, because you got to be minimum on 24th position. Anything from 25th to 32nd is going to be the red zone, where you don't want to be in. If you're in the red zone, it's never good to be into the red zone, because if it's one of my games, if you're in the red zone and you're in a car, that you're going to get exploded right away and get yeeted out into the lobby. So you do not want that. But with that said, that is going to be it for our second game of the day. We still got 2 games coming straight up. Game number 3, that's going to be on Miramar. Game number 4 on Erangel. You don't want to miss it, because it's been absolutely insane so far. So we'll be back after this break in a few short minutes.
Roy's countering. Percocet gets the knock.
Oh, another one.
Quick counter.
The trade. Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that. J7 coming in for the support.
avoids counter. Percocet gets the knock.
Oh, another one.
Quick counter.
The trade. Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that. J7 coming in for the support.
Game number 3 is coming straight up. Thanks so much for waiting. For those who did, for those who didn't, get back right here, right now. Otherwise, you're in a lot of trouble, kid. Ladies and gentlemen, Miramar gonna be our next map underway. I don't know why I felt like a dad for a second there. That felt really weird. Very out of touch, very out of place.
I loved it, to be honest, man. I was like,
or we'll do like the parents. My parents used to do the me. You're going straight on the staircase, not even in your room. Getting on the staircase where it's cold and it doesn't feel nice.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, my parents used to send me on the staircase. You know that? Yeah, there you go. That was not cool.
So what happened with me was like my because I was the youngest of my family, my sister, my brother, and my dad would always like annoy me, and I'd like run upstairs to my room and like I'd slam the door and they'd be like, grumpy sausage, and that would make me even angrier, and I have like a huge temper tantrum. Yeah, and then I just hide in my room for like 2 hours.
Oh man, anyway. If I ever did that, I'll be in so much trouble. Like you slam the door, like get back here, get down here right now. Like, oh no, I slammed the door. Oh damn.
Anyway,
yeah. Anyways, yeah, let's go. That's a little a bit of trial trauma right there. Always good as an intro. But we're gonna go over to Miramar to change the subject because we desperately need to change the subject right now.
Yeah, Miramania, baby. This is the first Miramar game for these teams in the PMCO. Of course, Group C, Group D. In these 4 games, we've already had 2. If you're just joining us, the first game was won dominatingly by Godsend. Game 2 was won pretty, also I would say effectively dominant by Scrim Farm. But the playing path split straight down the middle, Max.
Straight down the middle, indeed. You're gonna have Gun, Clay GLA up north next to La Cubriera. In La Cubriera itself, actually, as a Rescue Esports. You know what? I like it. I talked about it, right? The compounds next to Campo Militar, Torre Ahumada, Cruz del Val, Tierra Bronca. The unoccupied compounds that almost nobody aims for. And if you want to play passive, very, very passive, actually, in Miramar, that's the location to aim for.
Yeah, especially because most circles around Miramar aren't really on the northeast. If they're on the east, they tend to be down a little bit to the southeast, you know, slash Impala, maybe Puerto Paraiso, but it tends not to be around the Cruz del Val, Tierra Bronca area. Of course, if the phase 1 does go there, it'll be even better for Rescue.
In where this phase 1 cycle might be popping off, I think it'll be nice. Gun, I like the Gun tried to disengage a little bit away on the western side of La Cubriera, away from Clay GLA, but the circle, you know what, not going to be too bad. Does work pretty nicely with this kind of playing path. It's going to be mainly up north, but mainly over, especially to the eastern edge.
Yeah, it's a little bit more northeast than we've seen previous eastern circles, but I kind of like that. We did see a similar circle like this in scrims, Max, and you know, utilizing, if you're down on the south, utilizing that eastern side of the map, especially because there's no red reserve, we like to drop in an Impala, could be really valuable for these teams.
Oh, Azzy gonna be right there with a barrel, wants to go punch it potentially, you know, want to try and keep that ammo in the early stage. Well, he just gave up. He's like, okay, I'm not gonna go for the punch, I'm just gonna flush it right now. That's okay. But Azzy's gonna be finding a few extra bullets to try and put some bullets back into his clip. And now Shako of Nox, unfortunately, kind of stranded. He's got another play on the other side of this compound, but the real deal, really taking control once more.
Trying to...
Shako finds it. GAK. Be a little bit on the move, making sure, but Nox also, the player behind, really not drilling up on Shako's position. I think they definitely should. They could make something happen. But this is 2 times in a row, Imperium, on Sanhok and now Miramar. They're forcefully engaged into an early engagement, and I think that the real deal, they would like a little bit of a break here.
They would. Both of these teams are also relatively far from the edge of the circle, so, you know, this fight is only going to delay things. It's also using up some kind of early, you know, helmets,
resources, yeah.
You have been able to pick them up. But I do think it was a great response by Shako to get that knockdown onto Azzy, just to kind of push back the real deal a little bit more. You can see the real deal are being a bit more passive, and that has allowed Shako to escape as both teams, like we see in our R&D Pozo area. It's going to be a nice clean rotation for Clay GLA coming into phase 1. Universe instantly going to El Azahar. They can just calmly shift down towards the southwest onto that high ground, overlooking the likes of BFF and Lacanostra for the early parts of this game. And like I said, good few teams down the south side of the circle around the Los Leones area. If you're looking at Gaijin and Carbike horses, utilize that coastal road on the east, go through Impala, get onto that high ground information, and then you can move past on the next phase.
Yeah, because if those teams did prepare a little bit and check which teams are playing in the lobby today, you know, the Red Reserve is not here. They're the only teams that like to drop next to Impala, so it's pretty easy pickings for them. Rescue, as I said, Torre Almada, one of the unoccupied compounds that nobody plays with, is going to be okay. Like the unwanted child I was, you know, just nobody wants to play with him. No one wants to be friends with him. Poor Torre Almada. Feels bad to be him.
Dude, like, it's okay, you're alone now. That's the most important thing, okay?
There you go.
We care about you, Max.
Well, very good light in Pyramid. I respect that.
The thing for Rescue is that they do want to, in some way, shape, or form, send at least one person down to a more central location in this circle. The reason why is because if they stick on that northwest side of the circle, there's not a lot of high ground, so they're not going to get that much visibility of the teams down below. So if they go a bit more central, there's going to be more high ground, and they'll get a lot more information. We always know that information high ground, it's so much more powerful in Miramar coming into the late game.
Miramar and high ground is like, it just goes together really, and Scrim Farm, their team that once again, they had that happening on Sanhok. It was lucky enough because, you know, those high ground position mountain finishes happen pretty rarely, but now Miramar is all about that information, all about holding those high ground positions. So we'll see if they can potentially pull off a back-to-back, just like GSG Europe did yesterday.
Lacanostra Power not having a good start to these games. Currently 29th overall, only 6 points in 2 games. Of course, they are representing Kosovo, huge community around them, a lot of support. They have a certain level of weight on their shoulders off the back of that, but they have had a little bit of a tough time in the build up to this PMCO, going through some late not late night, but last minute roster changes, which definitely hasn't helped them.
Not gonna lie, before hearing about Lacanostra, I had no idea what was a Kosovo or where was Kosovo. I thought it was a Pokemon for some time. It's like, oh, a Pokemon, is that legendary? Like, I had no idea. You know what? Thank you very much, Lacanostra, for expanding my mind and teaching me a little bit more about the world geography.
It's true though. I was even kind of like a little bit the same with the World League, right? You know, I didn't know about Bhutan, for example, or even like too much about Nepal until we casted the wildcard region last year. This is what I love about casting, is that you get to interact and kind of make friends and learn about people all across the world, and just seeing these communities rise up, because Albania and Kosovo have absolutely fantastic communities that are easily, you know, the first to support their teams and the last to support their teams as well, even when they're at the bottom of the barrel. And it's so great to see.
I mean, there's definitely, like, talking about communities, like the Romanian community is absolutely bonkers. They're insane. It's such a big community, and gotta say a lot of respect to them. You know, Bloodline doing some pretty good stuff overall, but like for Romanian men, they started off really damn well. Their advantage already in like the top 16, really climbing for a higher position. So for Romanian men, you got to keep an eye out for them, because they can be a really big point of interest for this entire PMCO for the full split.
Yeah, I kind of missed out on talking about them after game 2. It was definitely my bad. They've gotten, you know, game 1 they got 18 points, in game 2 they got 10. That's 28 points, 2 games, an average of 14. That's well above the minimum that we're kind of looking for from these teams, which is roughly about 10 points per game, and they deserve credit for that. I know they have you know, WWS on their side is formerly of G Space Aimlock. So they have, a lot of players have that previous PMCO experience, and coming together in this light, it's paying off for them, at least in the first 2 games that we've seen so far.
Yeah, like WWS, I think he like made his name for himself as like an insanely talented flanker. Like, this guy will find, if there's an angle that you can take, he will take it. If he can shoot from that angle, he's gonna shoot. If he can find a kill, he's gonna find a kill. Like, he is just so freaking good at those flanks. I absolutely love to see him play.
Because he's a big fan of Vector Power, so he definitely automatically gets my love. But
that's kind of biased though.
The teams that are getting my love in this circle is Godsend and Universe. Universe may be a little bit late on their rotation, but it's still in the right direction that I wanted them to go. And Godsend getting early into this high ground position is really good indeed. MVP, they have been hit or miss in Miramar in the scrim leading up to this, but when they get it right, like I said about them, when they get it right in the circle, they definitely make it count.
As you say, hit or miss. I guess they never miss, huh? As talking about not missing, Team Push, they didn't miss the opportunity to move through Impala. We mentioned it. Red Reserve, they're not here. Easy pickings for them. Over to the coastal line. It's very safe. You got the mountaintop that does give you a pretty decent coverage. But Universe and Godsend in the center, a little bit close to each other. And I say that we're going to be panning on over. Look at that. Absolutely perfect timing. As Universe sending Dissy downwards, going to try and make his way down. But oh my god, Marley's got the unexpected angle. Not quite able to find that knock up to Dissy. That is hella surprising. But you know what? The second clip will do the job. And that's going to be Dissy dropping down to his knees. Universe, now you got to make your decision. Or you full send it, or you retreat. That's your decision. And seems like they're going for the retreat play.
That's why I said they should have done it a little bit earlier. Godsend got there before them. They shouldn't have gotten there before them because they were further away. Marty making up for that poor first spray, getting 2 knockdowns. Of course, Reese on the flank line, making it work. And Universe, oof, firmly in a bad position.
I mean, that's not even a flank coming out from Reese. He's on another continent at this point. He's so far away from the rest of his team. I was like, where's that another team? I was like, no, wait, it's Reeves. It's like he's so far he's in Ireland. He's shooting from Ireland.
There you go. He's shooting from Ireland. He's on the green mountaintops of Erangel. You know, boy.
I swear your Irish accent is even better when you say for sure. Like, go on, please, just once.
For sure. You know.
There you go.
Now, baby, nice knockdown on the goal touch. Now let's see if they can push on forward. Ralkus in the front line now, Max.
No, I'm doing a pirate. Every time I try and do an Irish accent, I do like the pirate. I'm so bad. But Universe under a lot of power. Godsend, I'm surprised that Godsend are actually pushing it so far out of the compound. I would say that's a little bit too aggressive because if another team was around there and had a little mountaintop or a little sneaky position, Godsend could get instantly surprised upon. But you know what? They're going to take a few frags, 2 kills to be exact, and they're going to move back to their compound. A little bit surprising, but you know what? It's going to work out just fine.
I think because I got there early, Max, and because it's only phase 2, they are very confident with where they are. If it was phase 3 onwards, I would really fully agree, but I think it made sense based on the timing of the game, and that's what you want to do. Teams aren't aggressive enough in the phase 1, phase 2 when they have a really core area inside the circle and pushing teams back. Godsend are definitely making it work. Team Push, just on a side note, they should definitely look to go into the high ground to the west of El Azahar, because it's going to give them a lot of sightline onto Godsend. Even if the circle goes away, they will be much more prepared to go into the circle from the high ground position.
And Reeves, he's going to be taking the ferry away from Ireland back over to get closer to his team. Going to be making their way over there pretty safely. Still got 16 teams into this one, which you can expect going into Miramar. Of course, there's a lot more passive compared to what you would see on, for example, Vikendi or even Sanhok. What? Sorry?
I'm surprised you didn't say horse and carriage.
You know what? I could have, but you know, I think the amount of puns has been very concentrated for the first 2 games. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe turn it back a little bit. And I think, I think we'll be good, because otherwise I think we're going to lose viewers, and we don't want that.
That's less of a point, more of a roast, you know. But fair enough. I'll give you that one. Scrim Farm going to be on a compound down below from 4 Romanian men. So 4 Romanian men have the high ground, and they have overall a more comfortable position in the circle.
Talking about circle, there you go. Down south, that's going to be for best friends forever. Godsend also got a pretty good foothold right here. Wow. Not many compounds into play. Got El Azahar. Universe are inside of El Azahar itself, and now they know that El Azahar might have a few teams rotate around it. I would say go for the mountaintop next to El Azahar. Playing on the edges, even there, is not great because so many teams could see you if they get close. Like, for example, Team Push, Gun, or even Nox in the northern rotation.
Yeah, teams who got into the circle early on have really benefited from this phase 3 shift. It's so much harder for the teams outside the circle. Maybe a bit easier for Gun, Nox, and possibly Rescue, even Clay GLA, because there's that little space that's to the west of El Azahar. But it's still not going to be easy because you are still relatively out in the open. Like I said, phase 3 pushes teams together closer to each other automatically.
Gauging, moving from their southern location. Yeah, the few teams like Carabac Horses also pretty close by. And Magic. Magic, they were taking the blue zone damage on phase 1 very early. They've been very passive on their rotations indeed. They're going to be potentially having Carabac Horses in their back, taking a few little shots. I think that right now, no needs a one-man army. Nudge is not going to be really too interested into that one. So that's going to be Magic having a nice, easy rotation for them. They're very spread, which if a team is able to surprise you, they're definitely not ready to take a fight in the open. They're not prepared.
Fully agree. The only thing is they just need to stop before they get too far into the circle because they're coming into it with a lack of information. I don't mind them being kind of spread a bit too far apart on the edge of the circle, but like you said, there is that risk indeed coming up as MVP. Gonna have Clay, GLA, and Godsend close by. I believe Clay, GLA have just been able to get into the circle. Indeed, they have towards the northwestern side.
We just saw Godsend. I know we're talking a lot about Godsend, but I think they're a team that deserves, you know, a lot of recognition into this one. As Sats explodes. Okay, it seems like that's what you call going out with a bang. But that's going to be the end of him, very unfortunately. But I like seeing Godsend playing actually out of their compound. The reason why this compound where they're playing around sucks. I'm going to explain why. Okay, give me a second. Okay, don't get on high horses right there. It's okay. I'm going to explain. This compound sucks because it's surrounded from like the north, the east, the west, and the south. It's surrounded by mountaintops, so you can't peek. A team could very easily get close to your location. So the fact you're holding a position out there is a lot more proactive, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on with that, Max. Totally agree with you. That's where that early game aggression onto Universe is also heavily benefiting them because now Universe are a lot closer to the edge of the circle. Godsend automatically have more space. They can focus, they can control, they can of course prepare for the next circles.
Like you could do like almost an ad for this team. They can control, they can play aggressive, they can do everything. They're the team that you need at home. Take one today. 50% off with code Imperium.
Buy one, get one free. Special.
Yeah,
special Imperium pack.
Special Imperium pack. What's a special Imperium pack? If there was an Imperium pack, what would be in it?
You get a ginger beard,
some whiskey, of course, and a potato,
and a potato,
and a microphone because you're a caster. There you go. You get everything.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know where to go with that one. I have no transition. That was the joke. I don't know where to go from this. But Gauging going pew pew. This fight happening in the south. Yeah, enjoying it, guys. Yeah, it's fun times. But yeah, Gauging gonna get the spray down to Tarek. And Magic, once again, under a lot of pressure, really struggling. And as we said it, they're so split, they're not ready to take any kind of fights.
Also, the circle shifting heavily to the west compared to the previous phase is going to make it even harder for Gaijin and Magic and Karak horses. For Romanian men, they were able to get a couple of aggressive shots on the team push earlier on, so it might be a bit easier for them. The second they get in, there's BFF in front of them.
This circle did come really good for Godsend. They are looking nice and strong. But now they might have to push himself a little bit further in the compound. As Gauging, they're going to be confirming that kill on to Tarek. That's going to be Magic really struggling onto this one. Valley side for many men just going to be passing on by. And nice little line. So if they do have to take a fight, they can easily get back to each other. So that's not too much of an issue. They do find a compound that's lucky enough for them not occupied. So free real estate is on the edge. It's playable for the time being.
It is low ground. And in theory, that's really not bad at kind of this stage of the game and coming in from the edge of the circle because you're able to, you know, pocket yourself in. Just, of course, they're going to have to still thread with caution. The side of Carbike horses looking for any kind of potential shots towards Scrim Farm and even up on the high ground, BFF inside the circle.
There's a few shots going to be potentially even traded out. Carabac Horse is going to get very close. Titan up onto Team Push, and Mario's up there. Not going to be going through any kind of pipes or anything today. No, he's got up there with the gun, trying to get themselves some pressure down. Scrim Farm going to be struggling to hold to that spot. A lot of long distance shots really shouldn't be resulting in a team squad wipeout, but Mamula is going to take the L as CLW. Man, this guy is scary at literally any range. Like long distance, short distance, he doesn't care. He's going to clutch it with even a shotgun. We saw that happen in the scrims. What the hell?
I know this is standard for more competitive players, but casual players take note. If you want to get more accurate spray, prone down and shoot. Of course, it's you're kind of at a higher risk because you're prone down, right? You can't really move too easily away. But that accuracy is just so much more viable that it's going to be quicker at getting that knockdown.
Yeah, if you're unexpected into a fight, like definitely getting spray, like just getting prone could definitely make the flush happen a little bit faster. And sometimes just half a second can make the difference between life and death in the world of PUBG Mobile. Gun on the northern side, gonna get very close to Universe. As Universe, we haven't seen them pop too much into the kill feed this game so far, but seem like it will be the first time as they get very close to Gun. But Gun seem a little bit unaware.
they're a bit unaware, and also they're very out in the open. Outro, he kind of realizes this, so he's going to prone himself down. And I think they're a little bit too split as well. Herbs and Mamulu want to get closer to Outro. You want to create that little band of brothers, so to speak, coming in through the desert area. Looking for the last remaining player, Magic. Had a toss coming in from the blue.
Already lost 2 teams in this lobby. Scrim Farms lost another one. Gun Herbs is going to be dropped down by Bobby of Team Push. And seem like Gun are definitely in a very troublesome situation. But seem like Universal are going to pop into the kill feed for the first time this game, but not for the good reason, unfortunately, as they're going to be on the receiving end of those bullets. You still have Blood or Rescue Esports just going to be lurking right there. Wait, yeah, no, no, okay, seem like he can't take those shots. Very, very unfortunate right there. How do you not take that? I don't know, but it happens from time to time. That will be a little bit of a fail montage right there.
Yeah, a bit of an F. As the next circles popped up, it's centralized around Godsend. Could they be gifted these circles anymore? You know, game 1, when they weren't gifted a circle, they pushed in and they took control of it. But now they're on the other end, and they're going to have to try and survive against any teams pushing in on them.
Romanian men trying to buy some time with some utility to get the res up onto WWS. You definitely want him in your roster. You definitely want him to be able to pull off his plays. But now gauging from the southern side, surely going to be trying to push on that southern location of the circle. Not too many teams are actually holding on to that location. You know what? It should be free real estate for gauging to push on that area. They're going to be sending their car up first. Here it is. Spray also coming out from Rana. It's going to be on Best Friends Forever. They lost one player on the side. There was Athis. They still have Yama 69 remaining into this one. Or sorry, Vama 69, should I say, not Yama. And that should be very shortly lived. He does crash on over towards 2-Pack. You know what? 2-Pack is still going to be over there.
I don't get why BFF are kind of disengaging away so late. If they were going to move away, they should have done it earlier, or they should have been aggressive to take control. Now, for Romanian men, not having an easy task, the good thing is that Gaijin can third party. The only fear is that right now they're third partying onto them rather than third partying onto BFF, and that's simply off the fact that BFF have been able to get themselves into a shack and are less in the open.
I mean, down on mountaintop right now, there's a big chance they're gonna have to go downhill later on phase 6, so they're just trying to clear the field down south as much as they possibly can, especially their big focus is on the east. If they can eliminate as many teams, that's gonna make the downhill rotation even easier to pull off, so that's really a good intention to look towards the future. We're not going to aim for the future. We're going to be checking out what's happening right now under our very eyes as Clay GLA going to push on to MVP Gaming. They got Akashi still in play, trying his best to hold and protect that position with his AKM. As one player gets confirmed out of the lobby, that's going to be Senzek Scott for Clay GLA out and eliminated. Back to the lobby you go.
But here's the thing, it's lack of Nostra power getting the third party onto both teams. They've been able to eliminate 2 members of MVP, now 1 member of Clay GLA. They are on that more elevated high ground down on the southwest side of the circle. And one thing I want to point out is as the circles did shift to the west, it has of course benefited the teams that came in a little bit later in the first couple of phases, because of course there's less teams on the west side of this map. Either way, Clay GLA having 3 players up, it will at least give them that man advantage.
Oh, the blue zone is claiming quite a few lives. It is a little bit of a tricky circle to move into. You know, it's very hard indeed, so they're going to have to try their best to make something out of it. MVP Gaming, they're slowly going to get pushed upon, but one team just taking really good advantage is actually Lack on Nostra Power. They're going to be the very first team to take control of this 6-phase circle, so I got to say, I really enjoy how Lack on Nostra Power are pulling this one off. They're going to take some long distance shots, but right now, this fight has got a very short expiry date, 20 seconds before the blue zone kicks off. They're going to have to all fully engage to the fight or leave it.
And, you know, as the blue zone closes in, it's also going to hit them a little bit earlier than the likes of Godsend, who are still not fully inside the circle, and even teams that are on the northern tip. Guys, you know, to Mario, though, as you can see in the kill feed, taking him out. They do go for the push. That's a bit of a risk, and Danny with the grenade. Danny
on the moving car. That was big pog move indeed. MVP Gaming now. They're going to be down to Kashi up top. He tried to disengage from that location, so you know what? Trying to have a 50-50% win ratio on that rotation, but unfortunately, he's turning his back over to the team down below. This Play GLA. You got the team up above, does Lack on Nostra, and they're going to be relentless in this fight. This is very scary, but now Godsend, for the first time in this game, I guess, trying to actually move away from this location. They send Rockets and Reeves up on the mountain, but they're keeping Mali and Navi down below, which is very intriguing 2-2 split, and I think it could work out as long as it's pulled off properly. They're going to have Rockets knocked away instantly.
And that's 2 of their members, because Reeves got confirmed as well. So it's going to be a lot harder for them to hold on and get into the circle. They kind of realize this, and Marley and Navy are using those vehicles to go up the hill so they can try to hold on to what's going on behind them. For all the while, on the eastern side, guys are getting engaged upon by Team Push.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tricky from Godsend. They're going exactly to the same area where the two other members on their team just got absolutely destroyed. So I think it's a little bit of a risk. And you know what? That grenade looks really good. Oh, it's absolutely perfect coming out from down below. Hunter connects onto Rockets. Godsend now down to 2 players. Na'Vi going to be having a little bit of a hard time in that one. We'll have to pull off the res for himself. But YAKUZA, they are doing so good. But so many teams have an angle on their position. It's going to be hard to keep a foothold there.
Yeah, and the fact that they're being a bit aggressive with those grenades is helping them because they've been able to take down another member of Godsend, which means Godsend are more likely to be a bit more passive, which means YAKUZA can focus on Team Push. What I love about Team Push is look at that spread between Bobby, CLW, and Andy. They control so much of the eastern side, and the elevated high ground is giving them all the information in the world.
And the blue zone strikes again, taking BeMyLOOT down with him, and that's going to be gun eliminated in 6. Now down to top 5 teams. The real deal still have a player down below. That's Hackshot, if I'm not mistaken. You got Team Push, Godsend, and YAKUZA Power still alive. As Akashi, I don't know how he survived that. Like, Clay GLA died, so you know what? Apparently no one has information on Akashi. He could maybe be the rattlesnake of Miramar and take that one for himself, but Godsend, the nades are slowly coming on through, and they start to try and take control because they got visibility from up above on YAKUZA. As Andy takes the nice SKS shots onto Alicio, that's going to be an instant knock.
This is really looking to be a Team Push win. If they don't win, this will be very disappointed. Look at the amount of pressure YAKUZA are now getting put under.
In the valley, like YAKUZA just literally can't do anything. And they are now under pressure of every single team around them. They are having such a hard time. You know what? Team Push, they're going to be taking the attention of Godsend. CLW going to go for the engage onto Na'Vi, but Na'Vi is going to be there popping off, getting himself an extra knock. They're up to 5 kills, and they're looking for more. They're trying to clear Team Push. Andy, you're not looking up above. I mean, you had information from CLW just a few seconds ago. You got to keep that in mind. They're going to confirm they come to Bobby. CLW should follow suit. But Andy just getting lasered up by YAKUZA Power. 3 teams still in play, but Akashi MVP just behind Godsend, and they have no idea. So he might just come and strike at the right time if he times it properly. But I'm still surprised that YAKUZA Power still got that many smokes remaining.
It was that little bit of aggression by Godsend that gave them that freedom, gave them that space, gave them a lifeline as Team Push just tried to take on too much at once. Pay the price.
He fights one Akashi. Can he clutch it in a 1v2 versus Godsend? That will be a huge statement going into this one. But now, unfortunately, Marley is in a position where it's going to be really hard. Goes for the kill. Goes for the kill for confirm. Extra point to him. Big respect. Now Na'Vi left alone. It's literally a game. The YAKUZA Power, they got the man advantage. They got a decent position. They're very split too to get many angles. This should be then for them to win. Takashi, Na'Vi pulling off a little bit of a 1v1. Na'Vi, I thought he was going to peek there, but just running back a little bit, taking the more slow and passive approach.
He knows he has to be careful about YAKUZA Power. He's not going too far forward, hoping that the third party can come through. Grenades are flying out by YAKUZA Power, reigning supreme as we're into the final 3 teams.
Oh, Akashi taken outright there. Na'Vi is going to be left alone for Godsend with 8 kills right now, but YAKUZA Power, they need to go for the push. They knew he's pretty hurt, and that is what they shall do. They made up for the last Sanhok game where they did a mistake versus Scream Farm, and you know what? They did that greatly. They picked themselves up 9 kills. That was mental. That's how I want to see YAKUZA play, taking control where they need to do it the most.
YAKUZA Power. I've been waiting a while. I've been preparing to say that right. Getting that chicken dinner, representing Albania, Kosovo, the highs, the lows, the ups and downs. They've come out on top in Miramar. And, you know, I talked about it, right? The more the circle shifted to the west, the more pressure is going to be on the teams on the east, and YAKUZA really took advantage of that. And they were so proactive as well. They weren't quiet. They pushed onto Godsend. They did get a little bit of look at the hands of Team Push, kind of splitting too much, but at the end of the day, they got the job done, and 9 kills with that chicken dinner. 29 points, baby, not to be sniffed at.
I do agree. I think like Team Push definitely should have avoided splitting up so much like that. And he just running in the open, just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to run towards somewhere and try and kill them. Didn't quite work out. But I think if they should have full sent it definitely over onto Godsend. If they did, they would have like a 3-man team on that position of Godsend. That would have definitely made a really, really big difference for them. But at the end, you know, Akashi still able to make things happen for MVP Gaming. But I got to say, especially for YAKUZA Power, loved how Alibaba split off, tried to surround it on the flank side so that they could attack from down below. Also the high ground mountain and also on the flank from behind where they're really expecting it the least. So I think that here, Lacunostra Power really proving that when the time is given, when the opportunity is right, they can do some really good PUBG Mobile plays, and that is why they take this third chicken dinner of the day. I mean, we knew it was going to happen eventually. It just seemed to happen on day 2.
Yeah, and it was even an overall much better game for, you know, Team Push as well. And, you know, Lacunostra Power and Team Push, 2 teams that really needed those good results, and that's going to push them quite heavily up on the leaderboard. And then when you look at Godsend, that consistency, you have first place, you have second place, and then in game 2 they still got 8th place with 7 points. Man, I love it, especially off the back of Scrim Farm in 14th place with 0 kills. That means they only got 1 point in game 3.
Oh man, I'm really happy with how Group C and Group D are pulling off their games. But I'm going to real quick update the standings so you can try and show that up on stream. So give me a hot second. I should be there very soon. I really want to see, do we have our Scrim Farm slowly getting closer to top 1? Are they going to be able to overtake it at the end? As what we're going to be seeing. Boom, there you go. 3, 2, 1. Here are the overall standings after 3 games for Group C and D. As now Godsend overtaking Scrim Farm with now 68 points in their arsenal.
And one thing to note, Godsend with 1 game left, they've got the same amount of kill points as GSG Europe. 30 kill points to their 38 placement points. That's such a nice even distribution. We talk about how kill points make a big difference. Yeah, of course, maybe if they get a chicken dinner in the last game, they'll definitely guaranteed to be on top after the first 2 days. But either way, I'm so impressed with that level of aggression. On paper, it makes sense, but I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to replicate it so easily in the PMCO, and they're certainly doing it as of right now.
The Real Deal and ClayGLA a little bit more silent in this game. You know what? The silent killers of this lobby, as they are 9th and 10th position respectively. 38 points for The Real Deal, 36 points going over to ClayGLA. But Lacunostra Power, this third game, this chicken dinner, allowed to just project themselves up higher in the standings, now in 12th position. And they are looking pretty dandy indeed just to be able to secure themselves a spot in the semi-finals minimum. So these are the games that like Lacunostra Power that makes them feel a lot more comfortable. This is a condition you mentioned earlier, right? They're just feeling now a lot better as they got a chicken dinner. Just a chicken dinner alone should put you in a really good spot, minimum to qualify for the semi-finals.
True. The only thing I would kind of, you know, caveat that, and I'll praise it any team, but like 35 points and you 29 of them from 1 game alone. So just try and keep that up coming into last game, Lacunostra Power. I really like 4 Romanian men and MVP as well. 3 games, 32 points and 31 points respectively. Again, it's hitting that average that I want to see, right? 10 points per game after average of 3 games. That's really good stuff coming into the last game.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how this has been able to pull off. You know what? We're going to be doing, as always, going to be a short break. Final game of the day is going to be on Erangel, the good old grassy pastures. So myself and Imperium will be back in a bit to bring you game number 4 to close up day 2.
Roy's countering. Percocet gets the knock.
Oh, another one.
Quick counter.
The trade. Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that. J7 coming in for the support.
And we are back for our final game of the day. Thank you so much for waiting, ladies and gents. And Imperium, final game. It's going to be on Erangel once again. And I got to say, like on Extra Power, they popped off last game on Miramar. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, they did indeed. But looking on the opposite end of the spectrum, something that we didn't really touch upon too much before the break was the bottom half of the standings. Worrying times for Nox. 5 points in 3 games at the bottom of the barrel. They want to end on the high note. They have to do it now. They have to do it in this last game of the day. Rescue Esports as well, you know, they have the rich history this year of qualifying for both PMCOs and they look much stronger. I know it's a different roster, but with all due respect, they did look much stronger at the same point during the spring split. There's still a long way to go. We have to talk about the fact that also Gamers Unite Nations, probably the most surprising position in my eyes in the bottom half.
For sure. I think that they had some good intentions sometimes, but like unfortunately not able to capitalize on those opportunities. So I think that's something they're going to have to really focus on for the next games and the next few days. But that's an Imperium. You know what? We're going to be bringing our attention away from the standings into the game itself. And here it is. Final game of day 2 for Group C and D. After that is going to be even in the standings. Every single team will have 4 games each. And we'll have a really good approximation of what the end results after the group stage could potentially look like.
And it's like I said at the start of the day, you know, I was kind of feeling a little bit tired and I thought, you know, hey, look, I'll perk myself up. Man, I am feeling so good, Max. Like, I could cast another 4 games from that point of view. This is just such good action that we're seeing in the PMCO that I don't want to wait 24 hours, right? I want to binge this all. I want it to be a Netflix series.
You got binge watching and now you got binge casting, you know? we're creating new kinds of binging. But you'll have to see. But with that said, the plane passed from Novo all over to Western Hospital / George Pole. Few teams that like to drop to Yasnaya might be a little bit troublesome for them. But otherwise, this plane path with this kind of lobby, with the amount of teams that like to play in those locations, in my opinion, is not going to have any kind of huge influence in this lobby.
No, what I do see, and I knew this was going to be a little bit of the case, is that there are quite a good few teams dropping around the southeast side. So wherever this circle is, it might be a little bit trickier for them to rotate if it's a little bit further away. University will be able to get easily towards North George, and of course, with this phase 1 circle up on the northeast, Max, it's going to be pretty easy for them at least.
Stonker's plane, not very Stonker's circle, not really working together hand in hand, so very unfortunate. But with that said, we're going to be having a fight breaking out very early on indeed, and that's going to be in a good old military base, where unfortunately Nox, you said it right, in last position. They can't afford to lose this early on, and Team Push, they are relentless. They want every single kill. They are looking for blood right now.
And I just don't get why Nox don't change up their drop spot in my eyes, especially off the back of poor 3 games. You know, I've talked about it. There's nothing wrong with giving up a drop spot. There's everything positive about being adaptive based on your overall position, how you're playing during the day. And, you know, I feel like Nox are just being a little bit too stubborn. And that's going against them, especially in this last game so far.
Even like the thing is, right, Nox have not won the fight in military base many times versus Team Push. Exactly. It's pretty consistent to the point where they just lose almost every single fight they took versus Team Push, or at least they lose a lot of members and then they move away like heavily weakened because of that fight. Now Oxan going to try and move away, instantly flushed away by Andy. Was not expecting him to be right there peeking out from that window, and as 2 players of Nox instantly taken down. And yeah, very unfortunate. As you said, secondary drop would have been the solution.
Oh, Sparta is on his own, and he's gonna have to really pull out a Spartan level game if he's gonna put Nox and his team into a good position points wise in this game. But you know, one thing I want to point out is this circle on phase 1. If you think back of the spring split, we tend to see quite a good few southwest circles, whereas what I'm noticing that we're seeing more often in Erangel, east and northeast circles.
Ooh, spray coming up from Sparta. This is Sparta indeed. CLW going to be making it over to his good old ally Bobby. and should be put back on his feet very soon. But really, this is not an easy position to be in because now he's cornered. Oh my God, no way.
Wow.
From down there?
Wow.
From down, man. Okay, you know what? Aim for the stars, and that's what he did.
There's Kobe's, and then there's just, that wasn't even a 3-pointer.
That's a rocket launch.
Yeah, man. Jesus, strapping a rocket to that grenade and hitting the stars. But yeah, like, do you tend to agree with me in terms of we are seeing more northerly circles in this split compared to the spring split?
Oh yeah, for you guys at home, if you didn't really watch too much of the spring split already, how dare you? No, already. I keep saying that all the time, but like, it's cool if you didn't watch it. It's okay, you know, better late than never to watch PUBG Mobile Esports. Yeah, let it go, it's fine. But a lot of our circles would end up like up north of Ferry Pier, you know, like down south of Gatka in the fields areas, or sometimes on the forest plateau. It would come into play quite a bit. So it's really, shifting up the gears a little bit. It's making things different, which I like. You know, if it's just consistently the same similar circles, it can become a little bit boring on the long run. So there's a little bit of fresh air coming into this one. But hopefully we're not going to have northern circles like all the time. We haven't yet seen a military-based circle actually in Pyramid. We have yet to see one in European PMCO.
No, we haven't out of the 4 Erangel games. I'm a little bit disappointed, Max. I'm a little bit sad.
There you go.
Anyway, BFF in around the school and apartments area, it's a good location for them to be for now, but the risk is that obviously disengaging away from apartments is very tricky. So if all 4 members go to school, that would be overall a bit safer. The only fear is that teams coming in from the south, depending on how Circle 2 does shift up, could become quite tricky in general for BFF.
Let's go over to the real deal. They've been like consistently in some pretty decent positions. Like, they picked himself a 4th position on game 1, then after the 3rd position in game 2, and at the end also of this one, they got himself 5th position on the Miramar game. You know, the kills are not there quite yet. So they really need to step up in terms of kills, but in terms of position overall and being consistently in decent spots in your games in position, I'm still really happy with how the real deal are kicking off their first day of PMCO.
Rescue, knowing that Red Reserve are not in this lobby for today's games, knowing that area is free, because Red Reserve, they land in North George along with Universe, and they'll normally shift to that compound on the river line, especially when the circle is where it is on this phase 1. They know they have that freedom. They can stop market, push on forward, get information, change vehicles, etc., and then move on towards a more central location in a circle. It's just really intelligent play by Rescue.
Scrim Farm, they got a nice little location under control. That's a plateau area that many teams like to play around. Red Reserve was actually playing around there yesterday against, I believe it was vFOR, if I'm not completely mistaken.
No, it wasn't
TSC,
vFOR.
no, TSC.
TSC.
There you go.
Red Reserve were on the open area, and they got absolutely clapped.
Because there's XTEAM down below, yes. There's locations like, or you fully commit to it, or you leave. You just don't want to be an in-between, and you know what? Now that they're there, if a team wants to push to it, onto it, indecision is going to be your biggest enemy. If you want to fully commit and breach it, go for it. Go aggressive. But if you don't, you definitely don't want to play on the outskirts, because so many teams could have an angle on you, and that could be the end of you.
Ooh, to see the kill feed and knockdown into one member players. It's a magic under a lot of pressure. Cable got knocked down, and look at BFF. They're just not stopping with those bullets, and I like that because it's now giving them the ability to push in. But either way, Godsend and the real deal kicking things off.
Oh, this is a very big fight for the real deal. We said it. They want to try and pick up and increase that kill count if they want to highly get themselves in the standings. They're going to make a nice knockdown onto Marley. Ree's going to be right in the backs there. Billy's going to try and heal up for himself. You know what? He's not going to go for that just yet. He really wants to try and get Marley behind that car. Go for the res. The real deal also will be doing a similar move. Godsend going to get Navi into a car. Seemed like he might be intriguing on getting an off angle that really the real deal can't protect himself from. I like to see that happen, but you also got to keep in mind, if Navi gets knocked, he's going to be potentially dead meat. Getting very far, actually. But he's going down to the compound. Okay, interesting.
I think that's a good idea. I think it's more of an insurance policy for Godsend in my eyes.
I think,
yeah.
No. I was like, I was going to be catching up onto that. I was like, yeah, I agree. There you go. I was like, yes, good point, Imperium. Yeah, that could be insurance policy.
Look at all the space on the north side, right? In between shooting range and Stallbar, completely open. Now, I know there's not a lot of high ground there, so it kind of makes sense. And we know shooting range is quite tricky to play around, but so is Stallbar. And quite a good few teams are heading there. So it kind of, not that it doesn't make sense, but It's not going to be any better for some of these teams if they get into the spot of bother.
Yeah, Stolber for gun, very intriguing. But what I'm finding also very intriguing, and I'd like to go over there once the circle shifts, is going to be Universe versus Scrim Farmers. I guess the Universe is trying to take that location away, and now the value has been actually doubled. Stonks for that location, looking really good. Your mortgage might just be worth it, Universe, as you're going to try and pay for this compound. The Scrim Farms are so far your neighbors, and you know what? They're a little bit noisy, so you want to make sure they get rid of them beforehand, so you just have a nice little peaceful phase 2 circle rotation. So Jarge is going to be down below. Yeah.
Deja vu. Universe who landed North George, Red Reserve landed North George. They're both in the same position, different days. The only thing is that will Universe learn from Red Reserve's errors and push in the second they're able to get any kind of knock?
It's okay to hold on to this location, but like what happened last time, right? The team that was in that location pushed Red Reserve away. The Universe are not getting pushed away. So you can hold on to that. It's just like if a team gets a little bit close, then you're going to have to like pull the trigger, do something, or leave very quickly, or go for the push, take the compound away from Scrim Farm. I think right now there's not enough value, and I think because of how the playing path went, there's so much free room up north and even to the west. I think they could definitely aim for a position that is not occupied by a team and take a very passive approach. But now it really depends, Universe. Do you want to take kills or do you want to take it slow?
We'll point out one of the Universe players has a car 98. We don't really see bolt actions too much. And I like that little bit of difference, especially when you're looking towards somebody and a team that's in a compound where they're going to have that protection of building. So only their head is going to be popping out. That means if you get that beautifully accurate headshot, it's pretty much an instant knock. So I think it's benefiting Universe to have the right arsenal in their back pockets ready to take advantage of Scrim Farm.
As far as weapons goes, is like a double-edged sword, is like high risk, high reward in a way. Like if you hit those shots, like they're going to do immense amount of damage. When you have like, you know, an SLR, all those kind of weapons, a Mini 14 is going to be a lot more rewarding to be able to hit those shots consistently, just spamming on through. So it really depends. What are you really confident and want to go for the Car 98 or the ORM, or are you feeling a little bit more self-reserved and you're going to go for DMRs?
Scrim Farm, you could think maybe they're being a bit too passive, but I would say they're just being clever because they know they have to move away. Yeah, they are feeling the pressure. So are Gaijin.
I mean, I think Lord is feeling something different. I think a few bullets through his body is definitely increasing his feeling rate. But that's going to be Jay down for himself. Herb slowly trying to join the party. And I think they've got to full send the entire team as the Mamula gets knocked down by Adbo. But the flash has yet to come on through because Herb's got a great angle, stopping him from going for the flush. Janiel joins the mix. Outro, he's over there just doing his own thing, having a chill time. Really, potentially also having that long distance range to make sure they're not going to push for it too heavily. But Herb's, really, he's going to be taking the offense with the DP. But no, you're good with the DP when you have almost no more bullets in your clip. Herb, you got to reload before pushing that one. You only had like 8 bullets when you pushed it. That is not the way. But now Outro is going to be joining the mix with Mamula. Mamula yet to get rezzed up.
Plus, it's close range. DP 28 close range is just like a chicken close range. It's going to do pretty much nothing other than kind of buck at your enemies. And it was the fact that also Outro. Yeah, I know.
There's so many questions, do you? But like, did you already fight a chicken close range? Do you have like experience?
Yeah, it's a national sport in Ireland. Don't judge me.
Men versus
also,
chicken.
The fact that Outro left it too late to join up with the squad has definitely been a negative for Guns push, and I think that's why they're looking to possibly disengage away from that and go back into the compound using Mamula as a bit of a sacrificial lamb.
Now it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Universe, they're staying on that position a little bit too long. Now RSQ, team push. Laconostra also could somewhat get a little bit involved and get close to their position. That is when it gets a little bit tricky. So I think now would be the prime time for Universe to make a decision. Or you fully commit to it or you leave. Like, it comes into point once again, but I think it's extremely important because this could spell death for them if they make the wrong decision. Or if they do not take any decision also, that could be a really big issue for them. They've got to think and get a game plan underway. As Gun, their game plan is to play passive. And you know what? Take that decision into play, they apply it, and they leave the fight.
Especially because it's overall much safer for them in phase 3. It's just popped up. They're now outside the circle, rotating outside the circle on the north when this is like the very north coastline when the plane path was very far south. It's just going to be a lot easier for them. It's still not going to be the easiest because they're going to be coming in to a circle a little bit blind, but at least avoiding the team fight against Gaijin is really beneficial to them.
Ackshot going to be crashing for Is the Real Deal just a little bit further away. As he's not very close, he's going to be joining the party a little bit late. I'm not a big fan of having Ackshot playing actually in the underground section of shooting range, because once again, I say it once again, it's very predictable on how you're going to peak, and literally just a DMR or a really good sniper shot, and that's going to be putting Hackshot in a really bad spot. So not a fan, but you know what? You can easily regroup to the rest of the real deal.
But I do like the fact that right now the real deal are in shooting range as opposed to trying to be on the high ground below shooting range to the south of shooting range, because we all know that it's very tricky to play around that area. So at least being inside shooting range, you can clearly see a lot of safe information.
Nice. Bray connects onto 2-pack and gonna try and confirm that kill instantly. I mean, that's the thing, right? You talked about it earlier. Getting prone, you get some really consistent shots, but unfortunately, you're at risk of getting shot from an unwanted location. And that's like a perfect example, textbook example of what could be also the issue if you spray while being prone.
It's also a really textbook example of what you were saying, the difference between a bolt action and a DMR. That Mini 14 DMR, even though it didn't confirm the kill, it was overall much accurate for him to get those single fire DMR shots at a relatively fast rate while still being on point to secure that knockdown. And this is where the high ground, like BFF, it's great, you're on the high ground, but there could always be somebody higher than you and also people down below looking in your direction.
Yeah, the real deal, they got a lot of control right now. I'm not really too scared for them. I think they definitely have a really good position to play around. Depends on where the circle shifts away, because there's a lot of teams currently down south of their location of shooting range. If they have to go back uphill, that's where things might get a little bit tricky for them. So we'll see what's going to be happening. And talking about where the circle might go, here it is. And that question is going to be answered very quickly, as Universe still not fully committing to the idea. And now even more is going to be the time for them to make a decision, because you need to have one more compound in play, and it's the compound of Scrim Farm. And Scrim Farm, there we go, chickened in on Sanhok. Could they get two today? I mean, definitely they're looking really strong. Now, can they hold on to that position?
The only thing is that the vehicles Scrim Farm have been taken out by Universe, so disengaging away if the next circle goes against them is going to be a lot harder. If a team does want to crash in and they take them out, they can take those vehicles.
Godsent versus Laco Nostra Fire. Round 2 fight. Has Godsent going to be trying to take over Laco Nostra's compound? They got Hunter, Alibaba up top as the molly comes on through. Could also try and deny a little bit of time. Molotovs on the staircase could be really good to stop, actually, Godsent from fully committing to this fight. Marley's going to be joining on over with Raucus. Then into a mini 2v2 fight. If they do have a really interesting angle from the side, they're really having a hard time peeking out from the windows. If they jump down, re-engage from down below, Godsent would be really surprised. Alibaba and Hunter really trying to take their time. As Alicia is able to potentially climb up and get res. I think so, yes.
It's the fact that the whole two players or the whole team at this stage is in the one building. You know,
Ollie?
I'm a little bit surprised that Godsent weren't more accurate on those grenades, but in comes Reeves flying. Will he be the one to get the golden grenade?
Yeah, he was holding an off angle, which I think is really interesting, but you saw the smokes coming on through. He knew that they were going to go for the res, so he's like, okay, they're going for the res. They can't really shoot back at me. I'm going to get closer with the rest of Marley and Raucus. And I think that's definitely the way to do so. Now, oh my god, Alicia, poor guy getting absolutely cyberbullied in this lolly. Alibaba will follow suit. Also, great initiated grenades, and now just got to go for the final push onto Hunter. He's in the smoke too, but unfortunately, Godsent, they just got way too many players. You know what? He just found himself one knockdown for himself. Now up to Marley and Raucus. Gets a second. Always able to clutch it on through versus Godsent, but it will not come on through. Godsent, that was one hell of a stressful compound breach.
Oh, well, we saw Agon in do 1v4 in amongst the smokes of a compound, so it's definitely not impossible. Great valiant effort by Laco Nostra Power, but it was off the back of overall a weak reaction on that compound breach. Either way, Godsent will continue on. Gaijin and Clay GLA under pressure against each other with Jay further back. Gaijin not look too safe.
Yeah, they don't. They're looking really, really weak on their position. Grenade's going to be really thrown close by Tanik. He knows exactly where he is. The information has been now given over. Clay GLA really trying to get that finishing blow onto Meow. But Meow, he's got himself hopefully some meds, but no, what he's going to be... Oh, no, he's actually was... Wait, he was not.
Yeah.
Wait, where's the other player then? Oh, he's in the circle. I thought he was still there. I thought he was just gen prone. My apologies for that, guys. But they still have one player that's going to be in the circle. And Clay GLA, they're picking up already 3 kills, potentially even a 4th.
The only thing Meow had there was a little bit of kitty litter as he's going to go down to the ground. It's nice by Clay GLA because they now are on the edge of the circle. They have that little bit of dip to the west of them where they're able to get a lot of information. The fact that they're being proactive on these shots, the only thing is that ResQ do have that building and that relatively higher ground, which they are able to overlook Clay GLA.
Seems like University trying to hold on to the southern side of this compound as they were getting pushed upon, but BFF, they're going to be losing an extra player on their side. You know what? I'm genuinely surprised that Universal able to actually hold on to that spot for such a long period of time with so many teams around them on the edge of the circle. But we said it right. There's only one compound in play. It's the compound of Scrim Farm. Legit. Otherwise, it's a slope. The center of the oh my god, the center of the circle is so unplayable. Wow. This circle is so hard to play on. But the teams that are up north, if they keep a hold of the northern side, those are going to be the teams with like the biggest advantage going into this next phase.
I'm going to slightly disagree because down on the south side, it's very low ground. So gaining
deep,
control of that area, you're able to prone down and there's much higher chance you're going to be protected from teams pushing in on that east and west side. That's why Rescue have chosen to disengage and rotate into that southeast side.
Yeah, the reason why I really mentioned the northern side, and I think is a big advantage because going into PMWL East, we casted like a few circles happening like this. Most of the time, the teams up north did take advantage because there's a lot of trees and rocks to play around, but down south, there's not too many of those, making it peaking a little bit harder. So I think for this specific terrain, it could work out, but like both have the advantage and disadvantage. Really depends on how you use your location at hand.
You are absolutely dead right. It's always about how you use that location indeed. Magic Tower going down at the hands of Scrim Farm. Clay GLA, they're now outside the circle with a few teams around them, pushing their way in. You got the last remaining player of Gaijin.
Jay is going to be there. He's just becoming part of the car at this point in time, but Ree's going to explode the car. You know what? I think that's fair. It's in the circle, and it's a really hard slope to play around, and I do like the fact that they're trying to build a micro fort for themselves, but now the northern teams, they're all going to be trying to crash on through one by one. The car rotation coming out. Marley sees... Wait, go on, take it. He's not going to be taking the shot. Okay, seemed like Marley's a little bit indecisive right there. I'm pretty sure he could see him too. They're really taking that slow part indeed. BFF slowly going to try and make it out. Ath is going to be trying to make his way towards 2-pack. Maybe a rest coming out. But now Universe, this is a time where heavily wanted to disengage, but Jace got spotted out by Hardboy of Clay GLA. And he's get found out, and that's going to be the end of Gauging. Eliminated up in 10th.
It's always going to be tough. Have MVP moved in a little bit too early though on the north side. They're surrounded by a couple of teams. Universe on the high ground, northern tip of the circle overlooking these teams. They have to gain control because the second they try and move down this hill, they're going to be sitting ducks as BFF pushing in. Aethys so close to Godsend, goes right past. What a wild risky rotation. Surely that can't pay off. I'm
genuinely surprised that worked out. But you know what? Surprises are what I like to see. But as I say that, unfortunately, we seem like we lost another team. So down to now 8 only remaining in this one. As Godsend, they are on the slope. Then you got Ridge remaining into this one. That is going to be very troublesome indeed. But Universe still so lively on this one. As Scrim Farm, they knew the Universal down south of them. They just wrapped around on the west. I mean, once again, I'm surprised. I'm happy for them, really. But I'm like, wow, how did that even happen in the first place?
Again, just being proactive in these kind of circles is making a huge difference. They're not sitting down there and not staying quiet. They're being loud, brash, and from across the way, they get that lovely knockdown on the team push. Wow.
I mean, not only in that position are they aggressive, like they're taking the knocks, they're taking the kills. They're already up to 5. Wow. Universe are surprising me, and you know what? Maybe changing my entire perception of how you play around that location, because for me, that's a location which I would personally never play in. And Universe are showing that if you play your cards properly, it works out just fine.
It's also the double benefit of the fact that they know there's like 19 players. They don't exactly know how many teams are left, but they're at the point in the game where they have to get kills because there's no guarantees they're going to get into the next circle. There's no guarantees they're going to get the win. So by getting as many kill points as they can, they are securing a much higher overall points in this last game, and it's just really well played by Universe. They're slowing down a bit. They're going to hear the shots by MVP down the hill,
but this is where it might be flipped on its head because they're going on more the steepest slope side of that area, so that's going to be making them a little bit more exposed, especially to team push. Talking about team push, CLW knocked down. Very unfortunate. He might just die there. But now the off-angle of Ratsman is going to be paying dividends onto Universe. They find one. They find a second knockdown. Down to now 2 players. Broly's going to be also under fire. He's hugging with the MVP players. But MVP players, they'll be coming out on top. Because now they're going to be leaving. Oh, no, actually, they're not coming out on top. Wait a second. Broly's clearing that tree. Oh, damn. Okay.
It was also Scrim Farm with a juicy third party as well as Tika's the last player standing.
Yeah, Broly eventually goes down and was like, man, there's no way he's going to survive that in the smoke with 2 players right next to him. MVP Gaming will be coming out on top. Kanik will be confirming that frag for himself. Now Clay GLA, they're still really having a really good impression in this game as Reese is just snaking his way through and looking damn strong along the way. But now Rescue and Team Push, they're the 2 teams down south. should be into a fight very soon. But you know what? Universe, Dissy, he could still get involved if he really wants to.
Yeah, and this is where ResQ have taken the opposite path of Universe on that rotation, right? It's a bit more passive and it's safer. The only thing is, of course, they are going to be relying on when they do have to take a fight, which is right now, they win it because they don't have the highest amount of kills.
It's me, Mario, with a grenade onto Moon, and that's going to be an instant knock. Just going to be found out. They can try and go for the flash too, but I think that Tick and Coyote, it is you could go for the res if you really want to, but I think you're making yourself exposed up to Mario. And Mario, he's timing, he's playing his cards properly. He knows he's not going to peek out too much and give that one over to ResQ Esports. Now Clay GLA, for the first time this game, going to be put actually under firepower quite a bit, as Raxman is going to be knocked down.
What I loved what Tick has done is that by constantly shooting towards the direction of the tree, he doesn't need to get the shots off, but he stopped Mario from confirming that kill, meaning ResQ will stay as a 3-man team. It made such a huge difference. Nicely done, ResQ.
Yeah, I got to say, Tick definitely played that one pretty strongly. The circle actually going over to team push location. Everyone's going to have to fight for it. I think that now ResQ, because they know that, if they know it's a one-man army, because I'm not sure if they put the hurt on the entirety of team push, but if they know they killed 3, Mario's alone, literally, if you got your cars are still in working condition, take the car, breach it, and hold that location away. Literally, it's a 3v1. You should be able to win that, no issue whatsoever, and then you'll be the team in control of this lobby.
But don't have the full team in the vehicle as Tannic takes him down. I would recommend sending one in the vehicle and then the rest of the squad joining up foot just to confirm
instant
that kill.
Regret. That's like the perfect definition of instant regret. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be moving a little bit. Oh, okay, guess no, I'm going straight back. That is not something I'm having a lot of fun with. The DC now, you saw him running back and he's like, maybe he was a little bit hurt from that one. The Bluesen's going to be taken down on DC. His health is not looking very healthy, I might even say. But now this, he's going to have to try and put a battle of heals versus TK because he knows if he goes down, he's going to die and he's going to go down to the Bluesen. At least no one else in the lobby is going to be taking that kill for themselves.
Plus, like I said, Universe got quite a few kills along the way. Mario being taken out. They did what you suggested they do. They pushed on the vehicles. Credit where it's due. They left Tick in the back line, which is a little bit hybrid of what we both mentioned. We called it, and now as we're down to the last 3 teams, ResQ are really firmly in control.
Feels really nice, the fact that we are going to be having 4 games with 4 different winners. Compared to yesterday, we had TSG Europe actually destroying the lobby with 2 chicken dinners and a second position going their way. But now it feels nice to having 4 different teams claiming these dubs. MVP taker, now it's going to be battle snakes for them. Who can survive the aggression of ResQ Esports down south? Who can survive the longest to claim 3rd position? And who will be taking 2nd? Now, going to have to cross on over that little dirt road. It's going to make things a little bit tricky over for Tico of MVP Gaming, as I think he just got scouted by Sensei Squad. Yeah, that's the end of that. Just got eliminated. Yeah.
Tika not quite securing the chicken Tika for his team, but at least 3rd place is a valiant result overall.
Man, you made me hungry for tikka masala right there. That is the best Indian food ever. I'm just so hungry right now. No, I get myself some Indian food after this, but you know what? What we need right now is not Indian food. It's a good old chicken dinner, and he might be able to take this one. The 3v3, pretty even on both sides. But I like Moon trying to really try and get that off angle. Tick also, like, ResQ right now. If the fight breaks out right now, they got the most angles. They should easily win this.
Plus the circles in the favor of ResQ. They have that low ground. They're able to use that 3rd-person perspective. The only thing Clay GLA have on their side is that lovely little airdrop that they're going to be able to hide around. But with the positioning of ResQ, look at that spread. It means Moon's going to have an angle on the Sensei God, even Coyote, depending on where they go. What I do like about Clay GLA is they are right now not using smokes.
Oh, Moon taking those shots. Now, the fact that they lost such a valuable angle, this is going to be making things so much harder for ResQ Esports to really hold on to that position. Gonna go behind that tree, pull off the rest. But Sensei Scott, if he's got some grenades, some utility, this could be just so good. They're going for the push, actually, but they're not expecting Tick on the side there with the Scar, making the plays happen. Tanek going to be put pretty low himself behind that crate. Sensei Scott will be just an extra character. He's a name on the list of ResQ Esports. Sends his regards, indeed. Play GLA now down to 2 is turned into a 2v3. ResQ were able to pull off the res onto Moon. He's got first aid. He should be back to 75% health, indeed, as he does that right now. Raxman, though, going for the angle, put in a very similar play as Moon.
Tanik has no healing. He's down to the sliver of health he has. His vest is absolutely shattered to smithereens. You can only hope as a grenade is going to throw out, he will most likely lose his life. No, it was actually an offensive smoke followed by a Molotov. Going to push Tanik back down. Great play by Rescue.
Oh, they find one, they find a second, and that's going to be win for none other than Rescue Esports, picking himself up 7 kills along the way. Rescue really showing up to the party. They went for the pushes when they needed to, especially versus team push. And you know what? It paid dividends. It paid its weight in gold. And Rescue, well, not in gold, mainly, as to say in chicken, as they take this 4th and final chicken dinner of the day.
And I did kind of call, although I got what you were saying about the North High Ground, I called that Southern low ground area, right? As it was going to be a possibly more valuable way to play towards the end of the game. The fact that it did shift constantly down there, of course, it's not something I hugely expected. But what was the real turning point for Rescue was that when they pushed in, we didn't see it fully on broadcast, but both of what we said, it turned out to be true. They pushed in onto Mario and took that angle out. It meant they had firm focus on the teams up north, and they were just had that clean brush of kills. 7, not the heaviest amount, but that's why they were playing safer and kind of going for that chicken dinner by rotating down on the southeast.
It's a pretty average kill count for like a chicken dinner. We see that happen quite a bit. But like Tick, especially his angle on the right side of that fight, if he wasn't there, if he was in another location, literally they would have allowed KlayGLA to just wave pushing onto Rescue Esports, and they couldn't have even fought back in any way. So really, I got to say, Tick allowed his team to hold on to that location and stop the pushes from KlayGLA to pull on through. But then move over to KlayGLA, like 12 kills going their way. That is some really hefty kill points going for them.
Yeah, it helps perk them up. It means in that individual game, they only scored 1 point less than Rescue. It didn't really matter if they finished in second. Hell, it wouldn't have really mattered if they finished third. They got the job done from a kill point of view. You could even say a little bit the same for Universe. Not as many kills as I'm sure they were hoping, but still 5 meant they hit the double-digit mark. And I want to highlight MVP. I talked about them being consistent. I think it was like 32 or 31 points after 3 games. 14 points in this 4th game. That is a beautiful average over 4 games. Yeah, it's not that chicken dinner. It's not that dominating result like we've seen from Scrim Farmer Godsend. But as I said, I will always be looking out and commend consistency, and MVP pulling that off.
Yeah, I mean, being consistent over 4 games is a lot more valuable than taking even just 1 chicken dinner. And MVP Gaming, they're showing that is indeed the case. Like, even earlier, right, like we had some teams just able to overtake those positions really easily over Godsend, even though they had just such a dominating first performance, like Scrim Farm, just being consistent over 2 games. They were able to overtake that position. So great stuff indeed, as we're going to go over to our cute faces. And I think we're going to try and slowly update the overall standings before we can actually show it to everyone, because let's not forget that right now, every single team in this lobby in Group A, B, C, and D have 4 points each. As I said earlier, this is going to be a very good representation of what we might be left with at the end of the group stage.
Are we starting at the top or the bottom?
I would say we start at the top. Ready? 3, 2, and 1, and transition into this one. And the tippity top of the mountain is still TSC Europe, but Godsend just 5 points behind.
Those 2 chicken dinners has made it count for GSD. However, Godsend, like, they still got 12 points in that last game. So even with only 1 chicken dinner, only being 5 points behind GSG, who have an extra essentially an extra 20 points, so to speak, in the form of a chicken dinner. 36 kills for Godsend compared to 30. They have the highest amount of kills, and compared to 44, that distribution is really beautiful to see. Scrim Farm in 3rd, I'm kind of not surprised, because they are the you know, the culmination of kind of Hate Gaming and you know, kind of 2 teams from Spring Split. They were strong then, they're being strong now, and again, 28 kills compared to 36 placement points, 64 in total. It's really good to see.
I'm not gonna lie, like Scrim Farm, I did count them in as like one of the best teams we had, like especially during the scrims. Yeah. I was not expecting them to be like top 3 good. So I'm really happy and really good surprise on my end. So Scrim Farm, they're just going to have to continue going like this and be consistent. And if they keep on hitting those averages, like legit, they're in a position where not only they can qualify for the semi-finals, but even like the finals and make it over to the European Regional Finals, which is your place to be if you want to make it over to PMWL for the full split. So really good start from a lot of these teams in Europe. And then KGLA just, lurking in the shadows right there. Again, some really consistent performances also with 64 points under their belt.
And without a chicken dinner, which is really good too. But I think we should move over to the bottom half of the table, kind of, get the elephant out of the room out there, right? Magic and Nox, 32nd and 31st respectively. 6 points for Nox in 4 games. That's really shocking. Let's be straight up honest. It's not good enough. They will have to get their stuff together before their next set of 4 games. A little bit similar for Magic, but at least they've hit double digits and they're only 1 point behind Carback Horses and the Sirens. And then look, in the 24th mark, Best Friends Forever, 25 points, but they're only 2 points ahead of TSC Legends.
I think you got to keep in mind, like, you got some teams like, for example, Godsend Hidden 80 points. You even got yourself GSG Europe picking up 85 points. Literally, even Nox currently within 32nd position with only 6 points at their arsenal. Literally one really good day and they can just go back up. You need to be minimum top 24 after the next 4 days and you'll qualify for the semi-finals, and then everything will be reset and you're starting from route 0 and you can keep on climbing once again. It could happen, but it's just the Nox now. Their confidence must be a little bit low.
Yeah, and it's just it's going to be important that they bounce back again. Just kind of brush off today is just one of those bad days. It sucks and I sympathize with them. But look, they're at the PMCO. You either step up or you step down, so to speak. And it's harsh, but that's the way it is. Like, you talk about kind of all they need is, let's say, a good day. I wouldn't even say they need a good day, even just 2 good games. Take example, Gamers United Nations. They were in the very bottom of the table at the end of the 3rd game. But in that last game, they got, I think it was like 12 points in total. It means that they are at least in the top 24. It's still close because they're on the same amount of points as XTEAM and Best Friends Forever. But my point is that one good game has perked them up in the overall standings.
I mean, also, like, every team still has 8 games to play over the course of the next 4 days. So that's something to keep in mind. 8 games, you can still easily hit some really good averages, and as long as you're being able to be consistent. I think, like, literally since we started casting PUBG Mobile, consistent is the word we must have said the most, because it's literally that goddamn important. So if you're consistent, you can easily hit the thresholds, and I think that any team even knocks down below can be there as long as your morale is, like, just consistently up there.
Exactly. And to kind of look a little bit into the future, a bit of a respite for the likes of Nox and Magic is that they are 2 of the teams that will be playing on the very last day. So at least if they continue to not have the best of results and they are within the points gap to make it into the top 24, they'll have those last 4 games that they can try to put their result in their control, as opposed to leaving it up to other teams, so to speak. So just something for the future. But other than that, after 4 games, the top half, the top 5 teams are looking really, really good.
Well, there you go. Those are our overall standings that we just saw right here. After 2 days, every single team with 4 points. Might remain the same, might have a big shift. You could have, like, some teams on the top of the mountain right now just drop down and actually not even qualify for the semi-finals. So once again, you've got to hit that minimum point average per game to be able to, without too much of an issue, qualify yourself for the next stage. But quickly going over all the chicken dinners for today. Game 1 at Erangel was won by Godsend with 19 kills. Not quite the 20 kill bomb yet. I'm sure we'll get it very soon for this European PMCO for the full split. Scrim Farm over on Sanhok did take the 2nd chicken dinner of the day. Then the 3rd went over to La Nostra on good on Miramar. And then to close it up, we just saw it a few seconds ago. Rescue Esports able to close things off with a bang, able to take themselves this final chicken dinner for today. 4 different teams, 4 different chicken dinners. I always like to see a little bit more, equity into these games.
Exactly. And then coming in tomorrow, we have Groups A and Group C that are going to face up against each other. So you're looking at the likes of Rogers Urban Side Games will clash for the first time with the likes of Scrim Farm, Universe, and Magic. And it is going to be important for Scrim Farm to continue this run, continue this consistency to stay somewhat at the top of the standings. I know it's only group stage, but I still feel it's important to keep that momentum and keep that motivation throughout the whole of the PMCO.
Well, there you have it. That's what we get for today. You got to say real quick, thanks so much to everyone that checked out the broadcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor, like always, to bring you the action you all know and love. Tomorrow, we'll be here, same place, same time. We're going to also have some good old chilly Vikendi action for the very first time tomorrow. So that's going to be really cool. My favorite map and also Imperium's favorite map. So, of course, a little special place in our hearts. Cold hearts at that. So yeah, tomorrow's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, Imperium Group A versus Group C. That's right. Facing up against each other. I don't know. Do you want us to, before we close up the broadcast, I think it's cool to talk. Do we speculate a little bit and check out these two groups and see maybe just speculate a little bit about who could potentially come out on top? Yeah,
that's why I kind of said, you know, you got Red Reserve, Inside Games, the Sirens, kind of Atlantes Cycle. What is interesting is that out of you know, Group A, I think the best team out of Group A is Inside Games right now, and they're currently 7th. So in theory, it could be possibly a little bit easier for the likes of Scrim Farm to grab some strong results in tomorrow's games. Anything can happen, right? And, you know, especially when you look at the likes of, you know, Red Reserve and the Sirens, who need a strong set of 4 games. They had today as a break. They should be looking at the broadcast and studying what kind of rotations the teams from Group C did, so they can go in tomorrow with a little bit more preparation in their back pocket.
I got like 3 reasons why I really want to see tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about them really quickly. Red Reserve and Scrim Farm are 2 teams. What, sorry?
Also, you're casting it, but yeah.
I mean, also because I'm casting it, like I have to be there, but also I'm looking forward to it. Because Red Reserve and Scrim Farm, they're 2 teams that put a very big emphasis, a really big focus on playing mountaintops, gathering information and making decisions out of those. So I think that those 2 teams could be potentially clashing a lot up against each other. Then another position is going to be actually Nox. Team pushes not in the lobby. You can go for military base. You can chill. You're not going to get flushed out early. And that's already going to be something positive for Nox. And also pretty similar for the Sirens. They used to like to drop into Rosok. You're not going to have Lacunostra power this time around. If you want to go for Rosok, that's completely free real estate for the Sirens. So those are 3 reasons why I'm really intrigued to see how teams will play around for tomorrow's games.
That's pretty fair. Can't help but agree with you there.
There you go. Thank you very much, Imperium, for agreeing with me. That's the perfect time to close up the segment. Once again, thanks so much for checking out the broadcast today. My name is Maxman with Imperium. Check us out on social media. We post some memes and stuff sometimes. It's cool. You get it down below. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for some more European PMCO full split PUBG Mobile competitive action. Bye-bye.
Roy's countering. Percocet gets the knock.
Oh, another one.
Quick counter.
The trade. Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that. J7 coming in for the support.